today's agenda. We'll finish the card, what was I writing? Deck of cards class, right? We'll finish that class. I'll show you a game. Show means I won't type it with you because it's just quite lengthy. So I'll show it to you. I'll go through it with you. I'll show you the new stuff I've used in it, if any. And then I would expect you to do something similar. Okay, so when I'm done and everything, I'll explain what I need you to do today in my class, which may not, of course, will not finish, but okay, so it's not an in class. You won't be able to finish it in class. I'll give you time for it, maybe by next week or something, because you'll be working with partners. So 2 people at a time, and I'll tell you what I need you to do. Okay, and maybe I'll put it up officially on Blackboard if we can discuss it completely in class. Okay, let's quickly go through what we were doing. We had since it was a little visual, I kind of thought I would go this way. So we had defined a class called card, in which we were defining an individual card, right? So we had defined an object. And keep in mind, when you write descriptions of your classes, which was the minimum that was required in, say, assignment 1, which I'm marking, it will come to you sometime by the weekend. So many, right? I have 60 something odd students, so it takes time. Anyway, before I forget, please now for the second assignment at least, if I tell you to just submit me what I ask you to submit, please don't submit anything extra. People, I think, I don't know, because of laziness, maybe because it was just easier, or maybe they thought, what if? Who knows, right? They've given me their entire project, they just zip up the entire project. What happens for me is then I have to unzip it, then I have to go to the folder, then I have to look for your files, and then I have to copy them. So it takes me more time. And that means more time per student. That means more time for 60 students. You know what I mean? So if I'm saying, please give me your Java files, I really mean it. I just need your Java files, nothing else. Project, and all then I have to do is copy paste, just move it. Then it's easy for me. Okay, so it's easier and it takes me less time. Instead of wasting time in things like this, I can put in more time and effort in giving you my feedback. So please, in future, if only submit what has been asked. That's all, nothing else. Sometimes I like to open it in BlueJ because it helps me to look at it. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy for me. So don't worry, I'll be fine. All you have to give me is the .java files, .java, not .class files. I had a couple of .class files coming to me. So just the .java files. So please follow instructions for submission completely and correctly. How you have to name them and what I'm expecting from you. Because zip files, they just come off the Blackboard, and then if they don't have a name, I can't recognize them. So when I mark them, it makes my life a little difficult. So I waste a lot of time, and I don't want to do that, right? Nobody wants to. So please just follow instructions for future assignments. Since this was your first one, I'm kind of just doing it. I mean, I'm saying, okay, don't do it in future. Just don't do this in future. So be careful, okay? Okay, so I will at the end, after the break, we'll talk about your second assignment, which will be done in pairs. So you can choose somebody in class, and if time permits, I will be asking you to present it in class. So that's why I want you to choose a partner in this section instead of going to another section, the other section, okay? Okay, so let's complete this from my angle, and then I'll tell you what you need to do. So we were basically creating a card class, and a card is very small, like in the sense that it is just a class that represents or designs or describes the characteristics. It doesn't show anything, right? Many of you say it shows the employee's name and employee's annual salary. No, that's not what it does. A class just describes, or you could say simulates if it was like a calculator, because it's doing something. So it describes the attributes or the characteristics of, if you were writing employee, if I was writing card, I would say a card. Right? And then you can add, it has the setter and the getter methods and methods to maybe whatever you're doing, calculate this or calculate that. That's minimum that I require from you. And assignment 1, that was my only requirement, but still again, comments are not kind of where they should be, but hopefully they will be, right? So this card describes a card object. That's all I mean, right? So if you want to kind of make it a little further, its characteristics, right? And it's kind of, there's not much you can do about it. You know what I mean? You can't do a lot about the comments in the description of a class. It's, okay, can you guess? No, you can guess. Oh my God, I don't even know what I've written.
Start to see
it. Yeah. Okay, there, it was just an A. Okay, and its characteristics. Basically, what are the characteristics we said? We said suit, right? And basically, we will know. I mean, So everybody will know the face name and face value. I don't think it did much more than that. We didn't have any extra methods. It provides the setters and getters for these characteristics. Even that isn't such a big deal. That's what my class was doing. That's all I need from you. It's not much, right? In the description and at author, I mean, I'm not even seeing at since and at version. I mean, how long does it take? Not even a minute. And in author, sometimes I'm finding names that I think belong your username on your laptop. So I can't even recognize your names. You know what I mean? Like it could be anything. For me, it's still A. Chawla, so it's not that bad. But some of you have names that don't make a lot of sense to me. So these are small things. Don't forget, you have to learn how to write comments. You can't escape it if you want to be a programmer. So better do it, right? Why lose marks? So better do it. So that's all usually you write in a class definition. You say, what does it describe? It could be a student. You mention its characteristics, which could be more or less, but that's what its characteristics are. And it provides the setters and getters for this. That's enough. Now, if there were more methods in it, you could add. You could say it calculates the annual salary or it calculates the whatever, if there are more methods. But if not, it doesn't show anything. I mean, I think you're confusing it with what an object is. But class is just a definition. And what does the tester do? It just creates objects of type, whatever you are saying, and tests the various methods. So it's kind of like almost there. I haven't even asked you yet to write the method comments, which is more important, which are much more important, which you will see in your second assignment. So this was all that was asked in assignment 1, but it's missing 2, which is like it's kind of not done. Anyway, so we had 3, we've done this. Everything was clear in class. We had 3 attributes. We did data validation in everything. We used named constants. So stick to that. Of course, all this was not required in assignment 1. I won't dock off any marks, but keep it in mind for future assignments. And I'll start saying it. I'll be saying, please use named constants in your code. I'll be saying, please use whatever extra you need. I'll always mention it. Okay. So don't forget. So named constants are always useful rather than using magic numbers like 12. I know there are 12 months in a year, but I don't know it. You know what I mean? So always use named constants. And that's what I did. And always validate your data if you can, if it is required. We don't do a lot of things, for example, in name of a person, but it can be done. It's not a big job at all. And as I've mentioned before, if you do anything extra, anything that you think is extra and bonus, put a note for me so that I can see it and I can give you bonus marks for it. Okay, so anything that you do, just let me know. You may be doing things that we haven't discussed in class. Validation that I hadn't thought of, I'll always give you bonus marks, but think about it. So we had done validation for the name, the value, and the suit. We already did that. And I could have done this better, but I wanted to show you the equals ignore case method. So I went with, I was comparing this just 4 values. But remember, we said there's a better way of doing it, and we had used arrays in terms of checking the face name, which were 13 values. So here we used an array, we sorted it, and then we used the binary search to look for it. And I have converted everything into two lowercase because it just is neater, right? Everything will be stored in the same format and everything. So I went with 2 lowercase. So the card class doesn't need anything else as far as I understand. But if you would like to think of something in a card class rather than what we've done, please let me know, because it will be your starting class in your assignment. So if you think there is anything else in the card class that is required, go ahead and add it or talk about it in class. But I think that's the 3 characteristics, and all I need are getters and setters. You don't do much else with a card, right? But what we do definitely with a card is we create a deck of cards. So that's our next step. Once we have the card class ready, then we create a deck of playing cards. So we are using a object in another object. So a deck of cards has a card. Of course, it has more than a card, but it uses the card class. And how did we use it? This is how we used it. So array list will kind of be in your programs from now onwards. You will be using array lists a lot. So get it right. Okay. An array list is simply a dynamic collection of objects. That's all it is. It provides you with quite a bit of method. It's quite powerful. You can add, you can remove, you can look at the size, you can do many things with an array list. But the array list, the main use of array list and different from arrays is that it is dynamic in nature. So to begin with, you will get some storage by default, it is 10. And then every time you fill up those 10, you will get the next 10 and the next 10. But you don't have to bother about the internal storage. If you want to look at how many in my array list, you just go with the method called size. So please, when you're using array list, open up your documentation and look at its methods and see what can I work with, what will be helpful for me, right? So a deck is nothing but an collection of cards. It is a collection of 52 cards. We could have used an array. I'm sticking to array list because there are methods that are available and I don't have to kind of write complicated statements or more code. The less I write, the better it is. And again, don't reinvent the wheel. If somebody's already done that job for you, let use it. And that's what we will learn, use it. Okay, so this was what we did. We said our deck of cards is nothing but a collection. I couldn't think of any other instance variable for it. So we will, but I can't think of any other instance variable that I will need in a deck of cards. That's all I need, a collection, right? So notice how is it saying? It's saying it is an array list. As soon as you use array list, you have to import the java.util package, which NetBeans tells you. So that's another thing. The IDE is helping you. So you don't have to think a lot, but you should know every time I use a class, I have to import that particular package. And then what are the objects inside my deck? The objects are card objects. It could be string objects. It could be capital I integer objects, right? Remember, it's an object. It's a collection of objects. So if you wanted to work with ints, primitive data type ints, you could create an integer, capital I integer objects and work with them. It's simple. It automatically does the conversion. Now Java automatically does it. You can put a small int with a small I, which is a basic data type, into a class called integer. So there, for every basic data type, there is a class available. You have integer, you have float, you have double, everything is available. There's one-to-one correspondence, right? So we can do that too now with array list because it is just a collection of objects and it is dynamic in nature. Okay, so now what do I need? So this is just a declaration. When you create an object, you always have to ask space for it. Give me space. And this is not the common place to do it in Java, at least. You don't do it where you declare your instance variables. You do it in the constructor. So in the constructor, I've said, I need an array list. Give me an array list. So I call the constructor of the array list class. So if for a minute, if you remove this, that looks like a constructor. New array list, you're calling the constructor, right? So that's exactly what you do. You say deck, I want a deck. And since the deck is nothing but an object of type array list, how do you create an object? By calling its constructor. So I say new and I call the constructor of array list. So nothing has changed. Like it's still using the same. To create an object, call its constructor. And I've exactly done that. But I must know, yes, there is a constructor with no parameters in the array list class. Like you may not know, you may just have to check what is the constructor. Does it need a parameter? Does it not need the parameter? Because I've used it so many times, I know it doesn't need a parameter. Now, what you have to add is this type. You have to say, what kind of objects will I be saving inside my array list? You have to tell it. So this is kind of, it is required in I think 5 or something, it's 5 or maybe even 4. I can't remember, or maybe even 3. You didn't have to mention the type. You could just say array list and it would, when you worked with it, it would automatically kind of assume that's what you're working with. But this way you're saying, that's what I'm going to save in my array list. So now it is available. Yes.
So how come we're not using square brackets here?
In where?
For the array.
This is not an array. This is an array list. An array list is a different class and array is a collection. It's called arrays, but array is basically a collection of elements, a fixed collection of elements. I'm not using arrays. I'm using array list. The class I'm using is a dynamic collection. It can change in size, whereas an array never changes in size. You always get what you ask for. Here, as you need more, it will give you. If you delete, it will kind of, it's dynamic. So you don't have to bother. What's my size? You don't have to use subscripts or anything. It's much easier to use. You will see it's much easier to use. Okay. So my deck is now ready. What does my deck have? Nothing. I mean, it doesn't have any elements inside it. But as you add elements, it will go inside this deck. Now to create my deck of cards. Now what do I need to create a deck of cards? A deck of cards has 13 cards of each suit, right? We know that. I mean, it's fixed. It can change. And each of these 4 suits have the 13 cards, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever till ace. So it's kind of, we know what to do. Like if I can use a loop to do it. I know I have to do this 4 times for each of these suits, and for each of these suits I have to do something 13 times. Right? So I can't go wrong to create a deck of cards. It's nothing that is random. I just know what to do. So let's do that. And for this, I'm going to use the for loop. Why? Because for always does a job fixed number of times. And since it is fixed number of times, 4 suits, 13 each, why not use it? Right? So I'm going to use a for each loop and a for loop and see what is the difference if you haven't seen it before and what is better. Right? So if I was going to write a normal for loop for my, if I was going to write a normal for loop for my suits, I would go from 1 to 4 or from 0 to 3, whatever, right? You can say I need to do it 4 times. Okay, now, before I do all that, because I will need it, and if you have it, copy it. If you don't have it, you can pick it up from Blackboard. At least this one I need. So I'm going to pick up this string array. I need it in my deck of cards because I don't want to do that again. Okay, so now instead of calling it faces, it's not a constant. We can just go faces with small f here. So create an array, and remember, this is a local array, right? It's a local array in the constructor. If you thought it would be better to place it outside, then we would make it a constant array. Right? If you have to create more than one dex, which is okay, you can do it that way too. So there is a difference. If I put something as an instance variable, then that variable occurs in every deck of cards. But if I need something just temporarily, I just need it here, just creating my cards, I can put it locally. Local variables don't have static, can't have static, doesn't make sense, don't have private or public. They're just local variables. They're only belong needed. So string, this faces can only be used here. If we find the need that it would be better to make it a constant array for my class, I could do that. And all I'll have to do is put it outside as, but not as an instance variable. Does every deck of cards needs this? No. It's just something that I need to create my deck and then it's done. I'm done. I don't need it. So you could make a choice. It's not a choice by preference. It's a choice by where it will be more useful. So let's place it here, and if required, I'll put it outside. But it's not a big deal. Okay, what else do I need? I need a string array again. Yeah, this is how you put an array. These square brackets are needed when you use an array. But an array, right? Not an array list. Okay, so I need another array. I'll try to follow the same names I did for the other class so that if you are kind of looking at or working with another partner or whatever, you have them. Though I forget what I use in which classes. Okay. So I've just called them face names because that's what I called it in the other section. I had to get the printout, otherwise I can't remember. Anyway, so what are the suits I need? It's a string array again. So remember, strings go in quotes. So we have 4 of them. It really doesn't matter if we are not worried about the sequence. We have spades, we have diamonds. I'm going all small case, guys, so that if required, I know that what's in my array. And what else do I have? Clubs and diamonds. Oh, diamonds already done. Hearts. I've created 2 arrays that I may need locally, or if I think they're better placed outside, I'll make them as class constants, class arrays, not instance variables. Keep in mind, what are instance variables? Are those variables that every instance needs. That's what instance variables are. What are class variables? Class variables are those variables, usually constants, could be variables too, but something that belongs to the class and all objects can use them. Something that can be shared amongst all objects. So if you want to share a value amongst all the objects of a class, make it a class variable. If you want to share something constant amongst all objects, make it a class constant or constant array. So there are things that should be done, and they're the proper way of doing it. If you need something locally, only when you call the constructor, then put it in the constructor. But this will not matter a lot because its job is every object will be created. So you need it in the class. So we can think about it or do it afterwards. Now, what are the loops I need? I want to do a job 4 times. So something like this. I'll write it for you and then I'll give you a better way. So if I had an integer I, and I can say I want to go from, you can go from 0 also if you like, or you can go from 1, whatever, it really doesn't matter because you have to do some job 4 times. right? So this loop will run four times. I've started with 1 and I've gone until 4. You could start with 0 and go until 3, doesn't matter. If you start with 0, the advantage is you can use that array called suits. I can use it. Now I could do this. I want to do a job 4 times, and I went from 0 to 3 because an array by default starts from index 0 and goes on. So I have to pick up these values. I have to create spades first, 13 cards of spades, then 13 cards of diamonds, then 13 cards of hearts, and 13 cards of clubs. That's what I have to do. So I went from 0 to 3. Right? Now to pick up every element, I will have to do something like this. I'll give you a better form, but if I want to use that suits, I'll have to say suits 0, 1, so on and so forth. What about the inner loop? For every suit, what should I be doing? You can take another variable if you want, a j or whatever, but I will be improving it. So you can kind of just sit tight if you want and then take the better one. And no constants. No magic numbers. So what can I replace this 3 by? If you've done arrays before, I'm definitely you've done arrays before, right? Suits dot? Length. Suits dot length, right? Since I want to do this job, I could have created a named constant for it, but why? Because I have that array, so I could go suits dot length. No magic numbers anywhere. Is length a method or is length a static variable of the class? Do you remember? Does length need parameter? Opening, closing brackets? No. So it's not a method. Okay, it's not a method. So that's my outer array. What about my inner array? I have to go from 0 to face names dot length and go j++. I'll write it and then we'll see what I can do. Okay, here now. So these are the 2 loops I want. We know it. We have to do this for every suit and 13 times for every suit. What do I have to do? What do I need to do? Think about it. What do I have to do? How do I build a deck? I need to get a card and add it. So it's not yet. So I take the first card, add it to the array list. I take the second card, add it to the array list. And when I'm completely done, I'll have all these 52 cards in the array list. So how do I get a card is the main thing to add to the array list. What do I do? I need a card to add to the array list, but how do I get this card? You have to do what? Create a object of which class? Card class, and put it in the. How do you create a card? Create a card, call it whatever, new card or card, whatever you want to call it. How do you create it? Call it constructor. What do you need to pass to the constructor? Look at what we need from the constructor. The constructor wanted from you the suit, the face name, and the value. Okay, so in that order, so that I can remember. So you know what? I could do this maybe. Oh, I'll have to change it at so many places, which I can do with what? There should be a refactor somewhere. Or can I do a control? So I'm not, okay, let's try here. Remember where you can rename and then do it together? Who knows NetBeans better than I do? Everybody will, because you use it more than I.
The top one said rename on it.
Do you have a where do you see rename?
Refactor.
Refactor. Oh, there it is. Okay, let's try. Cannot refactor. So maybe we just have to choose it like this, and then go refactor, rename. Okay, so that's not it. Should be right. It's as easy as saying refactor. I know how to do it in Eclipse.
What if you click on the eye though instead of highlighting?
Or just click on it?
Yeah, make it exactly.
No, that won't work, because if I go back.
The eye is not initialized. Or it's not
Oh, you mean I made a mistake? No, I don't. Okay, let's see. But that shouldn't make a difference. So if I select it and I say refactor and rename, Control R, there should be something else. Oh, there. Okay, because the first I was missing. So just because not just because it was a logical error. Good job. Okay. So what's the new name? I'm just calling it suit because it makes more sense to us understand. Apply rename on comments. No, let's not do that. Though there are no comments, and say refactor. Good. Okay. So there it is. We now know it's as simple as that then. Just the I was missing. That's silly. But anyway, Control R. So new name is, what's this one? Face names. What is the array called? Face names. So I'll go with face name. Okay. And refactor. I'm just trying to make a connection so that you can see what I'm doing. So the suits go from 0 to its length, and the face name goes from 0 to face names dot length. I've mashed the names so that it makes more sense. Okay, how do I create it? I pass the suit to it. Then the second was the face name. And what about the third parameter? I don't have a face value. I mean, I have to create it. Like, so remember the face values were going from where to where? From 2 to 40. Okay, now do you see some connection? Okay, so this is it. And my inner loop, the face name loop, is also running from 0, 1, 2 till what? What will be the last one? The length. Less than equal to is how many? Remove your equality sign, please. I was using 3, I was okay. Now I'm using length. Length is how much? How many elements? Right? How many elements? So if you start from 0, see? The length tells you how many. So you always go 1 less because you start from 0. When I was using 3, I was okay. But now I have to be careful. Okay. So this loop is running from 0, 1, 2, and will go on till how much? How many do I have there? 30? So it will run till 12. Okay. Now, can you use the value of your face name index and pass it as a face value as the third parameter? Think about it. When it is 0, what do you need to pass?
Face name plus 2.
Face name plus 2. So when it is 0, you want to pass 2. When it is 1, you want to pass 3. So if I say face name plus 2, it's the face value. When the face name is 0, right? Oh, okay, wait, we haven't yet completed. When the face name is 0, I must pass 2. When it is 1, I will pass 3 and so on. Here, what mistake have I made here? What do I need to pass here? Yeah. The name of the element. What do I need to pass here?
What about queen though?
What about what?
Plus 2.
I don't understand. What are you asking, Amanda? Oh, this semicolon? Yeah. The plus 2, you're saying why this face name plus 2? Okay. What is the value that face name is taking? There. 0, 1, 2, and will go on till 12, right?
Taking the array value?
It's the array. It's just a value that it takes. I'm taking
It's
the
not actually taking.
no face name is not actually the string. Face name is just an index like ij, right? So when it is 2, what I need, I'll pass 0 plus 2 as the value. When it is 1, the next one I pass 3. When it is the next one, I pass 4, and that's what I have to pass. Yeah, if this confuses you, I can keep it back to ij. I mean, the suit and the face name are just variables because it was easy to kind of associate them with the array. If it confuses you, I can come back to ing.
No, it's okay.
Right? It's not a big deal. So my cards are ready. Cards are ready. Now, after the card is ready, what do I do with the card?
String list has an add function, so add the object.
Add the object. So which function are you using? Which method?
I use .add.
Dot add. Perfect. Right. So the array list has an add method. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to do any logic. Like with an arrays, I had to kind of assign the value and so on. Here I'm saving myself. There is an add. There is an add where you say, where do I want to add? At what position? Then there is an add all that allows you to add from one collection into another collection. And then there is an add all that says, okay, where do you want to add starting from where? So I'm okay with the first one. I just want to add a card. Does it matter where I add it? No, it adds it automatically at the end of the array list for you. It just adds it. I'm not interested in position. I'm just creating a deck of cards. So I don't have to worry about it. I'll just say, just add my card. And your card is called card. There, your card is added. So what have you created with this for loop? You've created 52 card objects, and you've added those 52 card objects to your array list. And keep in mind, array list is a reference, it's a reference variable. Objects are reference. So this is what has happened. Your deck has 52 entries in it, 4 into 13, 52 entries into it, and each one of them is pointing to a card object. So basically there is a card object, another card object, another card object, and so on. That's what it is doing.
For the first loop, you could have done string suit, colon suits.
For the first loop, I could have done. Oh, this is saying how many times I want to run it.
Yeah, no, remember in the other question, string, suits, colon, suit.
Exactly. Okay, you're talking about the for each loop. Yes, that's what I'm going to bring out now, right? So this is going to add it. My deck of cards now has 52 cards inside it, and this is how it looks. It is an array list. Each element of the array list is pointing to a card object. I mean, the cards are not saved in it. When I say add, they actually point to a card object. They're all reference variables, right? And that's what I've created with 52 cards. That's what I have. If you want to double check, and I can double check very quickly for you. You don't have to do it. Let me do it for you. I'm going to go to BlueJ. Don't I see it? No, I don't. Seems like I haven't used it. I already have it there, but I still made a control C. But anyway, so here is my card class, which has what I've written, and here is my deck of cards, which may have more because I've done. Yeah, okay. So let's do a control A, control C. Oops, no, control A, control V, wrong one. I'm going to get here, and I'm going to show you that what I've shown you on Blackboard is actually what happens. Okay. How do I know that my deck of cards is ready? I just want to run this code. It's a class. I can't run it. It doesn't have a main. But what will BlueJ allow me to do? I can go to, okay, package statement was wrong. That's fine. Go right click and create. It has a constructor and you've done everything in the constructor. Click on it. Call it whatever you like. And there it is. Let's inspect it. Are there 52 cards inside it? So anything arrow means it's a pointer variable. Array list itself is a pointer variable. Inspect it. It says there are 52 elements in your card. The size is 52. Don't worry about mod count now. It's just a property of the array list. Don't worry. It's not a big deal for us. Size is important. How many do I have? 52. What are those 52 elements? Inspect it again. 52 elements. Notice it. The elements are again reference variables. Right? Arrows, reference variables. Click on the first one. Don't worry about length. Length has nothing to do with size. When you want to work with an array list, you work with size. Length has to do with how many was it giving you as you needed them. Okay, so don't worry about that. It's not what we will use. Now let's look at the first element. What are you expecting? My first was spades, 2 and 2. Do you see the loop? What was my first suit? Spades. And in spades, I went from 1 to 13, right? So I should be spades 2, 2. Spades 3, 3, spades 4, 4, and so on. Then when I finish the 13 of spades, I must start with diamonds. Then the next 13, hearts. And then the next 13, clubs. Okay, so let's go back to BlueJ. So this first one, if I inspect it, I should see spades 2 and 2. My first card has been added. So if you want to go after 12, 11, how many? 13. So the 13th one, because it starts from 0. Should be the diamond, 2 of diamond. There it is. Array list got created. So though I don't need any validation in my code because I'm sending the right values, I never make a mistake. I send spades, diamonds, whatever. I never make a, but still I've done all validation in my card class. I've done it. So always keep in mind, you think, oh, I don't need it because I'm not going to do anything wrong, but keep in mind that your card class may be used by somebody else to create a deck of cards. Always go that way. Always think that I have to write code, a definition that is foolproof. No mistake. So always validate your data. So I know I can make a mistake. Notice I cannot. I'm only using spades, diamonds, hearts, and clubs. I'm only using 2, 3, 4, 5 till ace. I'm only passing it the right values 2 to 14. But I still do all my validation in my card class, because I don't know who will use my card class. So all your classes should always validate the instance variables. But using this loop, I can never make a mistake. Nothing can go wrong because I'm not using anything that's wrong. Everything is right, but I still do all my validation in my card class. Every class must be perfect in its own individual eternity. It should be perfect because who knows where it will be used. Though you know where, but you can't assume it. Right? So somebody who wrote the string class in Java library doesn't know who will use it. So when he or she wrote the class, whoever did, they said, we'll do everything we can to make it a robust defensive code. And that's what they did. So if you make a mistake, if you try to say, oh, what's the element at position 20 when the size is only 5, it will come up and say invalid or something. And that's exactly why we do error validation. Nothing in, because garbage in, garbage out. If you don't have the right data in your object, how are you expecting your object to behave? So you do that, right? So I'm done. What Amanda was mentioning was, can I replace these for loops by something better, where I don't have to count and so on, right? This is called a for each loop. I'm not sure if you were introduced to it. What is coming out? The string is coming out, right? Let me call it suit itself so that I don't have to change it. And then it's coming out of the array called suits. This is called a for each loop. In a for each loop, see the difference between the two loops. In a for each loop, maybe I'll have to change stuff, which I will. Definitely I'll have to change it now because this is coming directly now. But in a for each loop, I don't tell where to start and where to end. Automatically, it picks up this array, a collection. You can use it on any collection, whether it's an array, whether it's an array list, whether it's a hash map, any collection. It picks up the first element from the collection, this variable called suit. You could have called it anything. Of what type? The type which comes out of it. What's coming out of suits? Strings. So I give it to a string type. If numbers were coming out of it, I would give it to an integer. If whatever is coming out of it, I will put it to the right variable. So the type of suit is determined by the type of the collection on the right hand side. So what's that collection? A string array. So what do I write on the left? String array. Now this won't work because before I was using an array, and now what do I have to use? I have to use this element directly. So I'll kind of comment this because that's not what I need, but I'll put it here. And the only change I have to do is there. I already have a string called suit now. Here, this was basically like an integer value 0, 1, 2, 3. So to access the element, I was using the array. And notice my work is becoming easy. Instead of using an array, if I use a for each loop, I don't have to worry about indices at all. I just use it. So automatically, this is called a for each loop. How many of you have heard of it or have used it before? For each? Okay, so not everybody, but still, it's called a for each loop. All a for each loop does is automatically will start from the beginning of the collection, will go on till the end of the collection, will increment on its own one by one, pick up the element, and your job is to put it in a right place and then use that variable. Much easier to write. I don't want to do it in my second one because I'm using its value here. See, I have to do a +2 with here. So I'm not using a for each loop for the inner one. It won't help me. It won't make my job easier. I'll have to say, oh, what do I do with the face value? So I keep my normal for loop in the beginning. So this is called a normal for loop. I mean, it's not called normal, but it's called a for loop. But this is called for each loop. Why for each? You are doing whatever you are doing inside the loop is for each of the elements in the array. Therefore, it's called a for each loop. Much easier to use. And it's used with collections because you're jumping, right? You're going from one to the other two. And you have to do it. I mean, it starts from the beginning, goes on till end. You can't change its pattern. You can't say, okay, look at the first, the third, the fifth, and this element. You can't do that. It starts from the beginning and goes on till end. If you want to ignore any values, you'll have to put an if statement inside to kind of ignore them. But otherwise, that's its normal operation. Start from the beginning, go till the end, jump one at a time. So, I mean, there's no difference. It will still run. The same code will still run. But my aim is that you start using for each loops instead of normal for loops, where you can, where it makes sense, because they're much easier to write. Right? Okay, so job done. My constructor is ready. My deck of cards is ready. Now, what do you do with a deck of cards? So that's the only, so now if you want, you can put a set and a get for your array list. That's your only instance variable. Your only instance variable is deck. You could say get my deck and set my deck, but they're kind of useless. Set is entirely useless. Like a deck of cards is ready for once. Will you ever change it? Like, can you do some, like, change? No, you don't. So a set is not useless, kind of absolutely useless. You could write a get method if you like, and get will return you, and we will write that. But I'll put it in the toString because what do you do with a deck of cards? You just show all the elements. So I won't write a get as a separate method. I'll just write the toString method that returns everything because that's the job of get. So see here, I'm not writing a setter or getter. I don't need a set. Once a deck of cards is created, there's nothing to set in it. There's nothing to change in it. So I don't have a set. I am not writing the get for the simple reason because I'll be writing a string method. Okay, now before I mess up, this is the first for. This is should be for each then. Just for myself, you don't have to do it, but it's just easy. Then this should be your method, which is your constructor you're writing. And then this should be your class. Okay, so that means my next job will be to write a method here. So if I want to write a getter, instead of writing a getter, I'll write this method because it just looks neat. Oops. So let's write the overridden toString method. This method returns, what does it return? It returns a string representing all the cards in the deck of cards. You don't have to say a string necessarily. Returns a string. So you can kind of copy it in return. You can just copy this. Returns are easy to write, right? And it is you're overriding it. So don't forget your override because it's not necessary, but it kind of gives you that extra check, right? Okay, so what is it? It's a public method. It is now overriding the toString method of the object class. Returns a string is called toString. Okay, so let me now create that string. So I'll start with an empty string variable. You can, I'll initialize it to blank to begin with because I'll be concatenating it, right? So I begin with the blank. Remember to begin with the blank. Now I don't have to do a new string here. Keep in mind, this is the only place where Java allows you to use an object without calling the constructor because it is doing it for you. It's not magic, it's doing it for you. Right? Otherwise, always, whenever you create an object, you go is equal to new, and then you call the constructor. This is the only place where we don't do it, only for strings. Okay, now what's my job? My job is to go through all the cards of the deck and then attach their information and then send it, right? So take your for each loop again. So you have to do this 52 times and you have to do it on your deck. So who wants to use numbers 0 and 52 and all that? So what will I do? I'll say pick up one card at a time from my deck. See how easy is a for each loop. Otherwise, I would have to say start from 0, go on till the length of my array list or the size of my array list, length, and then do it. So which one is easy? Look at it yourself. This is what I want to do. I want to start from I equal to, I want to start from 0. What's my next job? My next job is to go till where? I is less than or equal to deck dot size. Oops, not less than equal to. Again, only less than. I start from 0. And then I go I plus plus. So which one would you prefer? It's up to you. I would prefer this because I don't even have to think about it. You know what I mean? Like here I have to say, oh, I have to start from 0. I have to go until size minus 1. Size tells you how many. And every time I must increment by 1. This job is done automatically for me here. And an addition, in the addition on the loop, it also gets the element for me. I don't have to get it myself. I don't. But if I was doing this, I would have to first get the element. And how do you get an element in an array list? Create a card object. You know what? I'll make it here because I don't want to do it with every. Look at the difference of what to use and why to use. You will have to get from your array list the element at position I. More work. You'll have to get it. Get means kind of return, show it to me, kind of return it. And then you will have to take your deck string. I'll write it this way, and then I'm sure aware of this concatenation operator plus equal to. Have you seen combined operators before? Combined operators simply mean take the previous value and add to it. So instead of writing the word deck string again, the variable name again on both sides, you just put a plus equal to. And what do you want to add to it? How do I see the information of a card? Think about it. How do I see the information of a card? You will say, oh, get its face name, get its face value, and get its suit, or do you have something in the card that will help you? Something in the card class that will show you the information of the card. The toString method is already there. Call it. You already, therefore, we always usually write a toString method in every class. What is it returning you? It's returning you the face name and it is returning you the suit. And that's all you're interested in cards. You don't talk in values, you talk in face names. You say Jack of spades. You don't say Jack has 11 as its value. You don't do that. You say Jack of spades, Queen of diamonds. That's how you say it. So in my deck of cards, take your card and add, what is it called? Card.toString to it. Here, don't forget your toString. I'm not doing a printing, I'm adding it. And there, that's your loop. That will exactly do what I want to do, which I can now do in another way, which I will in a minute. And then at the end of the day, you will return deck string. Oh, and don't forget something else. Everything in a new line, otherwise it will mess up, like it will look very untidy. Otherwise, they'll all come in one line and they'll look very untidy. So what will it return? Now run it, it will return whatever we were seeing, right? Spades, two of spades, 3 of spades, 4 of spades, so on, ace of spades, and then diamonds will start, and then the third one, hearts, and then the clubs. We'll run it, we'll see. Now this is one way of doing it. Okay, let me just. So I wrote a for loop myself. I exactly had to know that, you know what, I have to go start from 0, go on till size, and I had to increment it every time. I had to get it. Get it. Get is not removing it. Remove is different from get. Remove removes it. Get just shows, like returns it, gives it to you for use. Once I get it, then I use it. I call it toString method and do it. Let's take this again. I'll show you in BlueJ because it's easy. Oh, so many windows. And I'll again compile my class. Okay, package statement come to your BlueJ. Do a right click. It won't be very neat. This is BlueJ. I can very quickly write an main for you. It won't be very neat because you know what? It will also show you like this in one line. But you can see 2 of spades, \n will come as a new line, 3 of spades, 4 of spades, and so on. So BlueJ is not very neat, and it will take me 1 minute to do it here. So let's go to, what do? Go to your card game Thursday or whatever you had created. Put a main method in it, which is already there. I'll exactly do what I did in my BlueJ. What do? I create of my deck of cards. I create an object. How do you create it? Call the constructor. That's exactly what you do in BlueJ when you go right click and you go new, right? And then now I want to call it toString method, and we'll do it in a system out println because I want to show it. And with your my deck, call it toString. You don't have to say toString here. You don't have to mention toString when you're doing it in a system printing. But if you use it otherwise, like I did in my previous one, then you have to do it. Here you don't have to. And let's see what it gives. That's exactly what I did in BlueJ. I created a deck of cards and I said, call your toString method. It was just not neat. Here it will be neater in the sense you will be able to read it. So I've quickly written this main. I mean, when I created the project, we had this class sitting, which is actually a tester class, right? We'll change things afterwards. But my aim is this, to run this constructor or to run this tester. And shouldn't take that long. There it is. 2 of spades, 3 of spades, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 till king. And then starts diamonds, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, king. Then start hearts, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 till king. And then last comes clubs. All 52 cards are present in your deck of cards. It proves it has been created. My deck is ready. Right? My deck is ready. Deck of cards should just have the toString method here. And I'll replace it now. I'll show you how it can be done better with a for each loop. So there is nothing wrong in what we did, but we can avoid it. Try to become smarter and use things to your advantage. Okay, so now so I've kind of commented out the loop because I'm going to use a for each loop. So leave away the for loop if you can now. Forget about it if you don't need it. Okay, I'll be doing the same thing but with less work. What do you have to do? For each of the card that you get out, I have to do the same thing. The only thing is less work. Don't have to think about the loop. Don't have to get each element in the array list and then call it string method. This automatically gets it. Gets it from the deck, puts it in the variable called card of type card, and then does it. So both the loops are in front of you. I would prefer that you use the loop at line number 57 as when you use array list because it's easier. But if you can get your head around it, sure. But notice here, then you have to know how to get the card. Get is a method of the array list class. Like add is a method, add just adds it to the list, get just shows you, kind of, you can retrieve it, not remove it, retrieve it, just look at it. So get it and see it. Work with it, let's say. There is a remove method also for your information. You can remove it if you want, which we will. So that's how you will write your toString. That's the for each loop. Whatever works for you. But now, second course, maybe you should start doing more than what you already know. Right? So same job, it's exactly doing the same job. There is no difference. I find this to be easier. And you have to declare it right here. The type has to be declared right here. You can't declare it like this. Therefore, I commented this out also. You have to declare the type right here. If I think I'm right. I'm not sure. Let's double check. Yeah, you have to do it right there. You can declare it as a separate statement, a separate declaration. I mean, I always do it that way, but I've never thought that makes sense. There it is. There's your for each loop. So see the difference yourself. Look at the two loops yourself and see what is easier to write and even easier to understand. Just get it. So this is doing two jobs for you. These two lines are being done by one line here. It runs through it and gets it for you. And when it gets it, you tell it to put it in this variable and then you use it as in when you want to use it. There's no difference. It will run exactly the same way. Your tester will exactly run the same way. Try it again. There won't be any difference. But what have you done? You've improved your code. That's what you've done. So you have used something that is available, and that's good for you, right? Why reinvent the wheel? Now, so this was toString. I just added it there so that we could see it quickly. I don't need a set method because it doesn't make sense at all. And I don't need a getter because this is the getter. What will get return you? The array list. What else can it return you? It's just a pretty getter. If you want to write the get method, how will it look like? Not bad. It won't be pretty, but what are you returning now? Array list of what? Card. Right? And what will be your method? The method will say return deck. That's usually what your get deck. DECK. That's your getter in its non-pretty form. It just returns you the array list. If you need it, why not? You can add it. My string is just more prettier. It's showing me the cards. This will just return it to you. So you have an array list. And if you want to print it out or do something with it, then you have to do it in your tester, wherever you are using it. But adding this method is not wrong. And if you require it, you just put it there. That's all. So you can put your comments here. See the difference? One is returning an array list and one is returning a string. That's the difference. That's all it does. And there's nothing wrong, but I won't have a set. Set doesn't make sense at all. Because once the deck is ready, I don't want to do anything with it. So you don't need a set. If you need a get, that's all I'll do. But notice it's return type. When you have to use it, you have to know that get deck is returning an array list. And if I have to use it, I have to use it like it's not one element now. It's a deck of cards. It's an array list. I can show you how to do it on the tester side. It's not difficult at all. Now, the important methods. What do you do with a deck of cards? Shuffle them. Okay, so let's do the shuffling at least. Let's see how tough it is. This method shuffles the cards in the deck. That's what it does. Will it require any parameters from you? Shuffle just means move the cards randomly. No. Will it return anything to you? No. Void type, because it's just taking the card and shuffling it in place. Right? That's what it does. Okay. So let's no add params, no add returns. But anytime I have an add param, there should be a complete definition of it. What does it do? And anytime I have a return, you have to tell me what does it return. Okay. Now let's see. Let's look at the logic, and then we will try to write it. Okay. Return type is void. You can call it shuffle cards if you want. You can call it shuffle if you want. Take no parameters and does something. You can call it shuffle cards or shuffle, whatever makes sense. Okay, now what's the logic? What's the logic behind shuffling something? Basically, if these were cards, right, and I want to shuffle them, I'll pick one, exchange their position. Pick one, exchange their position. Pick another one, change. That's what shuffling is. Kind of think of it. That's all shuffling is, right? If you think of it, you pick up a card. You could do even this. You could pick up the first and the last, exchange their positions. The second and the second last, exchange. Or you could pick up the first card and pick up a card from any random position and exchange them. And you can do this many times and it will shuffle.
Generate a random number between 0
Yep.
and 51.
Generate a random number between 0 and 51. Pick up that, pick up your first one and swap. And that's exactly how you do it. But the good part is somebody has already written that method for us. It belongs to the collections class. Why will I do it? But that's the logic behind it. If you think of it, that's exactly the logic behind it. Which cards you could do first and last and go on, or you could say, okay, let me pick up the first one from the first position. Then you calculate a random number between 0 and 51, because that's how you have. Pick up that card and exchange it, put it in the first position and put this card in that random position. And you keep doing this for a few times, maybe 100 times, who knows, like, because you're trying to shuffle and it does it. This job has already been done for us by somebody, thankfully, and that method is available in the collections class in the Java library. All I do is use it. How do I use it? Call that collections class. It's a static method. Call the method. It's also called shuffle for your information. And pass it your parameter, and your parameter was called deck. Done. It's done. They've already written it. So somebody wrote that. What we just did, somebody has written it. If you wanted to write it yourself, I can code it for you. It's not a big deal at all. Now it says collections. What is collections? Do a Control Alt Enter. It will say, please import it. There it is, import it. Collections is a class. So always, whenever you're using collections, broadly array list, hash map, all these are inheriting from this class called collections, right? So they get everything from collections and add. They're different in some ways and they add their own methods. So somebody has written this method for me. Why would I go and do it again? So therefore I say using the library and creating your own classes are as important. Both are important. Otherwise I would take half hour to write it at least. Because I'll write it, then I'll test it, and then, oh, it works, and then I'll test it, and then, now I'm satisfied. I don't have to bother. So do it. Use it. Okay? Yes?
So how would you find that out? Go to the Oracle data.
You would just Google it and say, shuffle in Java. It will come up. So always when you have something in your mind, look for it. So the random number one is not a bad idea at all. I can do it for you. It will take me 5-10 minutes to just code it. All we have to do is get a random number and swap it, and I'll show it to you.
Error, I can't print out all the cards.
You can print out all the cards? Okay. Let's see. What is the error say? System of printed in my deck. Okay, so something seems to be wrong. Card week 15 at deck of cards. Where did you put this main method? In card week 4. Okay. So card week 4, 15 is giving you a problem, and that problem is going to come and click on the deck of, sorry, on deck of this line, Java 22. So this, you are at 15, right? Now it says this error is coming from this line. Okay. Now here is the problem. It says the problem is here.
Just spits out a message. Dark Java outside should be string. Spit out the memory address, top of that. This is
Uncompatible source code. Oh, okay, it's nothing to do with us. Okay. Uncompatible source code. Do we have a package statement up here? Where is this package card is set to? I'm not sure where you are, so that's what I'm saying. This V4 has a package. Which one are you using? Where are you writing this? Okay, so you're in this one here? Okay, so if you're in this one here. No. Card V4 is a package name, card Java, card view. Can we close all? Go right click and say close all here. Come and close all. Go close all. Now let's double click on card Java. That's package card. See here, this one is coming from somewhere else. Capital. Package statement here says capital. Here it says, this is your package name, here's yellow one, right? Which is all new. Put your card in here, change it please. Small card. And it's not capital card, it's not. This file, did you copy this from somewhere else? Yeah. Yeah, so there's a package name to be okay, so that's second. Okay, now come to the step of one different. This is, so now let's try it. Okay, now application name is in there. Okay, so there is problems of copying somewhere, right? So card is causing the problem. You see at line number 24. Click on it. Yes, so now set space. Where is the method? Let's see where is the placement method. Can you go down? See, set paste in the capital letter. And then you will call it small f. What? Bring your mouse over. Something is on the yellow says override. So I see. Yeah, copy has created some good down. Some methods are not there. It's just because of they're not at the right place. Things are at more than one place. Could you do one thing? I think it's not an error because of some logic. An error because things are not at the right place. How it says I have bring your mouse and bring your mouse over here. And notice how it is saying that it's overriding. There's nothing like that. Overriding means there are more than one method. You want me to place it on Blackboard and you want to pick it up? Will that help?
That's what I took.
That's from Thursday, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't mix and but from my Thursday, you picked it up from my Thursday, and that's what you have opened, and you changed your package statements.
But deleted it from Tuesday and put in the Thursday.
Yeah, so that's what is happening. Package names are different, and I don't know if code is the names of the variables are different. You know what I mean? Because as I said, it could be just a different name. Okay, so where were we? I'll look at it, Amanda. But if you want, I can put it on Blackboard and you can pick it up again as a package. You want to do that? Okay, guys, give us 2 minutes, okay? Just give me 1 minute. And maybe it will benefit everybody. I'm going to put my code on Blackboard if you want. If you're kind of behind or whatever. So don't pick up the Tuesday one. As I said, I try to, but I can't always remember what I called it. Okay, so on class examples, we are Thursday. Let me give you the files I am working with, okay? So card Java, I'll replace it just in case. Oh, I didn't have anything else. Yeah, so you've mixed the two. And that's why you're getting that problem. Okay, no big deal. Where am I? No. So this is Intro to Java, summer 2017. Thursday, card game Thursday. So see, notice I have to do 5 or 6 clicks till I come to the file. And if I say only do 1 click, okay. So there it is, 1. Browse, okay. Card game, deck of cards, second. And also let me add my main. I mean, though I haven't written much in it and it's not yet clean and neat, but there it is. All three files that I'm working on right now are on Blackboard now if you want to pick them up. The 3 Java files. So I would recommend creating a new project by that name that I have and doing it. Okay, Menda? Then you won't go wrong. So my project was called, it's kind of a big name, or you can change it afterwards. My project was called Card Name Thursday. So packages names will be different. So if you want to copy my code, please remember that if you're copying it anywhere else, change the package statement. You have to be careful. If you're going to copy my code then and you're using a different name, which is perfectly fine, all you will need to do is change the package name. Okay? But the file names should remain the same. You have to call them card, deck of cards, and card game Thursday. Otherwise, you have to do quite a bit of changes. And those changes are not big if you know. You just have to change the class names. So all the files that I'm working on are on Blackboard now, right? Okay, where were we? Oh, here. So deck of cards is doing a shuffling. And as I said, if time permits, I'll write the for loop for you. It's not a very difficult loop. I'll show you the random class in something else, in some other method, and that will work. Okay, so that's the shuffle. Now comes the next method. What else do you do with a deck of cards? Draw a card. Now there are two things. You could be drawing a card from a random position if the game wants it. Sometimes the game wants it. Or you would always be dealing from the top of the deck. Like when we deal cards, we always deal the top of the card. So we need two methods. Now, I don't need the draw method in the game I have written. But if you need it, you can code it. So I'll show you how to code it if you're interested. But my aim is to deal. That's dealing, right? That's how you play games. You deal from the top of the deck. So let's write deal.
Should we add a parameter? What if you want to draw 2 cards at once?
Yes, then you'll have to either call the deal twice, or if your game says 2 at a time to each player, then you will change that method yourself. For me, I'm writing a very general method. I'm just saying every time you deal, that's all you do. And deal means pick the top card, remove it from the deck. That's what dealing means, remove it. Right? So where does it go is something else, but it has to be removed from the top. Now, if your game wants 2 dealings, then you'll have to just call it twice, because a deck of cards is not made keeping in mind the game that will be played with it. A deck of cards is made by keeping in mind a general deck of cards. You know what I mean? So everybody shuffles if you want to, otherwise don't. And when dealing is done, deal is always done 1 at a time. You never say deal 5 cards. You know what I mean? Deal it 5 times, but that's what it is.
It takes into consideration that now a card is missing from the deck.
Yeah, but the question Brad asked was, so if my game wants to deal 5 top cards instead of 1, what do I do? You either write a new method in your deck of cards, or you do this job 5 times in your game. But for me, a deck of cards, what do you do? Deal a card, right? Or draw a card. If you want to draw it 2 cards, then you'll have to call the draw method twice. So you can always add more methods if you're making it specifically. But if I'm just writing a general class, I don't know who is going to play what game with my deck of cards. So I'll just write the common methods, because that's what it is. Depending upon how many times you want to do it, use your for loop in your application. Right? So shuffle is shuffle. Now let's write dealing the top of cards. So this method returns the top card from the deck. Or it's not so good English, topmost card we can say. That's grammatically correct. Right? Does it need anything from you? No. It doesn't need any parameter from you. But does it give you back something? Yes. What does it give back to you? A card. A card. So you can kind of, with returns, you can almost copy this. So keep in mind, when you take code from Blackboard, you may have to do some manipulations. Exactly what I do with your assignments. And that's why I crib if I have to do more work. I take your assignment and I copy and paste, and then I make package changes or something. So therefore, I say, call your class employee, call your class test employee, because it makes it easy for me to copy and paste. But I am almost changing package statement everywhere. So I don't want to do extra work. So please follow instructions. Okay, now let's look at the signatures of this method. It's a public method. What is it returning? card, not a string, a card. What's coming out of the deck is a card. When I say deal a card, what do you give me? A card object, not a string object. Therefore, we had that card class, okay? So it's giving a card. You can call it whatever you like. I don't know what I called it in the other section. I have to be careful so that deal top card, just in case, though it doesn't usually happen, but sometimes students will do a different class. So, but they're going on different places in the blackboard. Just because I may not use the same name. I try my best, but I forget. Okay, what should I do? I mentioned a method that was available in the array list class. How do you remove a card? By using the remove method. That's all you have to do. If I was using an array, then it would be more work. I'll have to say remove the first 0th element or whatever. And this is how remove works, as simple as this. Before I remove a card from a deck of cards, what must I check? Size, perfect. If there is nothing, if I've dealt everything, how can I deal another one? Right? So if the size of my deck, and there is your size method, is greater than 0, that means there is something in the card, I can still deal from it. What should I do? It's as simple as taking your deck and calling the remove method from the position 0, always. What doesn't it like now? I don't know what it doesn't like.
Here's your button.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Now I know what it doesn't like. Your eyes are better than mine. Good. So there. Else, basically, you'll say, what do I do if? Because I have to return something. When I say my return type is something, I have to return something. What should I be returning to say there is nothing to return? What is that nothing called? It's an object. Card is an object. So, perfect. Not 0 or not 1 or nothing. Because 0 is an integer. What are you returning? A card. So if there is nothing to return, you must return null. Because null means the object does not exist. There, that's my deal the top of card. As simple as that. Oh, okay. My mistake. I did this yesterday too. And then I had to find out what I did. No, I pressed something and then I forget what I did. I did a alt shift enter, and then I have to go this way, which I hate to do. So,
should we be like returning deck.remove? Sorry,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Okay, because I made a mistake. I was trying to find out how to come back. I've been doing this since a couple of days, just pressing the wrong keys. And I found out what I did wrong, and now I can't find it. Okay, this is what I was trying to do, actually. But view, was it view? Editors? Oh, full screen. There it is. Okay. So that's dealing the top, definitely. Thanks. You have to return the remove. Now think, why am I doing a 0 every time? Because automatically this is what happens in an array list. Automatically. If it was an array, I would have to do it manually, like code it. As soon as you remove the topmost card, the rest of the cards from position 1 downwards, whatever it is, I don't even have to worry about it, or move forward on it. So size gets reduced. So it's not as if it physically moves it in the sense that you won't have anything at 52th position, but that's garbage for you. Think as it is physically moved. So when I kind of remove the first card, you can kind of think it goes up. So always which card has to be removed? At position number 0. So the other cards move up and the size reduces, and always therefore you're removing the card at position number 0. So remove is automatically, and there are more removes. There are more removes. You can remove an element at a particular position also if you like. Right? So that's the top of card. Now, let's see if you can help me with this. I didn't do it for the other section, but since it was mentioned, this method draws a random card from the deck. Now, draws means you'll have to remove it also. Remember, that's what drawing means. You don't put it back. Now, if you're going to put it back, it's something else. Then you may require. So again, I don't know how much or what will you require. For me, I was only interested in dealing and in shuffling. That was my interest. Let me see if you can help me here, or I can give you a break and you can think and come back. But you have to do it. You have to tell me logically, how do you draw a card? Think about it. Logically, what do? You pick up a random position in this size, right? The size is 52 to start with. You create a random number. There is a random number generator in Java. You can create random numbers from some position to some position. So I'll create a random number from 0 to 51. And this 51 will keep on reducing every time, right? Then it will be from 0 to 50, then from 0 to 49 till I'm left with nothing. So I always have to check, is there something to draw, right? Okay, so you find a random number, and that random number, I don't have to find it. I'll ask Java to do it for me. There is a method that is available. There is a class called random. There is also a class called secure random. We'll go with secure random because it was added in Java 7 and it is supposed to be more secure. Anyway, so you find a position and then all you do is remove the card from that position and done. You're left, that's draw. Right? But you have to be careful. This draw is leaving you with less cards. So now the next time you try to draw, it changes from 0 to whatever. So I'll use size for it and I can never go wrong. That's drawing. So the only thing extra you have to do in draw is what? Find a position. And how do you find a position? It's not so tough at all. Include secure random. I haven't used it for a while now, but it's not as if you can do it. I mean, when I say I haven't used it, I don't remember its package name or whatever is what I mean. I think it should be in util, but I could be wrong. Okay, so return what? What does it return? A random card. Right, so you can call it whatever you like. So let's go public again. It will return a card. Let's call it draw card. Take no parameters from you and we'll do this. Okay, so why do I see a red squiggy? Okay, because it's returning it. You can kind of take your ifs if you want, but we'll just write it. So the first job is you can only draw from the deck if the deck size is greater than 0. Otherwise, there makes. Oh. Okay. You don't have to write an else here. It's kind of redundant because if this doesn't happen, automatically it is going to the return statement. So you don't have to say else. That logic remains the same, right? If the deck size is greater than 0, you do something, else you don't do anything. Now the secure random class. Local or I just need it in this method. So the class, as far as I can remember, is called secure random. No, the secure random will just create a random number for me because I don't know from where to draw. That's the whole thing. I don't know from where to draw. When you draw from a card, the other person just opens it from you and you kind of draw from wherever. That's what draw is, different from deal, right? So secure random, let's see to where it belongs. Oh, it's not even saying, it's giving me something else for now. Okay, so let's create something called random. And I'm going equal to new. I haven't used it for a while, as I said, but we'll know. I mean, it's not as if heavens are going to fall. Okay, so here, Alt Enter. Find the symbol with Alt Enter. Security. Java.security. It was something that was added in Java 7 for securing reason. Therefore, it's called secure random for your information. Okay, now, okay, so there is a constructor by that name. I mean, with no parameters. And you know what? Worst come worst, this is what you do, which is not worst come worst. It is the right way of doing it. So it's the secure random class in your Java library. And it will also give you examples. See, it came in Java 7, and of course it will be available in 8 also. But anyway, so there is the class. It's called secure random and has inherited from the random class. This is the class we used to use before for random, to generate random numbers. But I think I forget now when it came out. I read about it. So there is something to do with security or whatever. It provides a cryptographically strong random number generator. How are random numbers generated? By some algorithm. algorithm. So they're not always random, believe me. Like if you run the program a number of times, you will see a pattern. But anyway, so they're pseudo random numbers. So it's just more stronger. Okay, so now there it is. A caller obtains a secure no argument. So that's what we've done. And now to get a random number, callers may also invoke the generate seed to generate a given number of seed bytes to seed other random numbers of. Okay, so seeding is always good, but now the constructor here the method. So generate seed not important, get algorithm not important, get instance. No, get instance. No, get provide. Oh, you know what? It will, since it has inherited from the random class. Next boolean, next int, next. What are we trying to get? A integer. Okay, returns the next pseudo random uniformly distributed int value from this random number generator sequence. The general contract is that one int value is pseudo randomly generated and returned. So that's next int. There were two next ints. There it is. Next int. Here, this one. Uniformly distributed between 0 and the specified value. This is the one we want. We want to get a next int out of it, and we have to give an n, and it will give us a random number between 0 and the limit excluding it. So we won't use any magic numbers because this 52 may become 51, may become 50, may become, we'll take the size, right? And it excludes it. So we don't have to worry. Okay, so this is how we'll generate it. I think you have to seed it. Seeding gives you, I mean, you can read a little bit about it, but seeding is kind of saying I'll do a pseudo randomness decreases with it. Okay, what am I trying to do? Now I need this. Okay, here. So just to show you how you would use it, though I'll use it in my loop, you can get a random, I need it every time. So I'll call it what? This usually is not called random. This is called the generator. I'll try to give it names that make more sense. Not big deal. Okay. So here, this is what you will do. You will get into this random number, control spacebar, take your generator. I mean, you don't have to call it generator, and call the next int method of it. Next int, there it is. And what do we give? The deck.size. Remember, anything that you do on the fly, you have to put a little brains into it. Okay, it doesn't like it. What doesn't it like? Semicolon expected? Oh, because I'm not yet using it. Okay, there. Okay, I have a random number now. This is how you create a random number. What is random number? An int, right? Now this will create a random number from me from 0, 1 for the first time. If I remove something, then the next time the size has reduced. It will give me, so as many times as you call the draw method, one after another, draw, this keeps on kind of reducing the size, okay? And what do? You have the random number now, you just have to remove it. So take your deck, remove the element at position. Looks right. There, I've drawn it. So instead of dealing the topmost card, what was I doing here? I was removing the topmost card. I was always removing the topmost card. Here I'm not removing the topmost card. I'm removing the card at any given, any random position. Actually, you could have taken, you don't even need to create this integer. Avoid. You can put this whole thing inside this remove. And which is better in the sense that, I mean, it could be difficult for some of you to read, but in some, you will see that my feedback sometimes says don't use unnecessary local variables. Avoid them, because the more you use them, the more mistakes you're liable to make. So I don't even need it. I can remove it from here and I can put this straight away in the remove method. What am I saving? Code, 2 lines of code and a variable. Because I was doing it myself for the first time in my head, I kind of wrote it this way, and which you also do as students. But if once it makes sense, you can remove it. Now the seeding, I think you need to, it's a good idea to seed it. I don't know if they kind of say it somewhere, but it is random will also say it actually. So see, random class was available from 1.0, but the secure random class came in 7.0 if I'm not mistaken. It came a little afterwards. I could be wrong, but it was afterwards. I don't see a since here. Anyway, they usually tell you to, and I can only pick that up if I kind of go and look at some examples, because examples will tell me to seed it. Is there a method called seed?
I just saw the word seed.
Yeah, somewhere.
Yeah.
Generate seed. Returns the given up. No, that's not it. Get seed. No, we have to set this. I mean, we have to seed it. Oh, you know what? Their constructor, there it is. You can use a constructor that is seeding it. Constructs a secure random generator implementing the default number algorithm. What's the difference between the two? Constructs, it gives the same definition. But there is something to do with seed. I can't remember it, but seeding a random number generator is always recommended. I'll have to read a little bit about it. That's all I'll have to do. But it's not as if it's wrong. What I'm doing is wrong. That is a better practice, and we should always follow. You always seed your generators, and it talks about
Right down
seed.
there it said generate seed. See on the very last line?
Yeah, but yeah, this is column generate a given number of seed bytes to seed other number generators. So instead of using a number yourself, it says, for example, 123, generate a seed from, use it in other random numbers. But there was some way, I know we did it in random, I remember, but I can't, because I haven't used this as per se so much. See, here you will have to provide a value, but it says instead of providing a value, you can get it and then use it, except that getting it also is giving a number. Returns the given number of seed bytes. Oh, it's the bytes. Okay, that's why that 20 number. But I don't know how to seed it. I'll find some example. I'll have to Google it a little. So there is nothing wrong. I mean, this is absolutely correct. There's nothing wrong in it, but I can make it better. And seeding has something to do with random number generation. So that's draw a card. Instead of removing from the top, you've removed it from any random position. And when you call it, it checks, is the size greater than 0? And if it is greater than 0, depending upon how many cards you have left in your deck, it will work. And remember, array list is an instance variable of the object. So it's always in, and you're using the size method that dynamically goes and checks the size. So you can never go wrong. It's not a local variable. Size is not a local variable. If it was local, it would, like, then you don't know what's in it. It goes to 0 every time. It's a method you're calling inside for an object, and the object has the array list inside it. So you're saying deck, what is your size? Deck, what is your size? And every object has a deck. I mean, depending upon how many you've created, I don't have any. And that will work. And you can always, to check, you can just to check. I mean, it's not good anyway, and I'm not recommending it. I can do a system.out.println here and show that random number that we just created. Except that, yeah, it will always exist. So you can see that they will occur randomly, right? So I'll show you how to do it. The method is called draw cards. Okay, so let's save this. You don't have to do it. And here, where I created it and I printed it out, let me call that method. It's called my deck, and call the draw method, draw card method. There it. Oops. NetBeans doesn't take tab. Okay, there. And it's going to do a printing for me. Okay. It's going to do a print for me. So see what random number gets generated. And every time, I'll kind of, this will become too much to read. And as many times as you draw, it will give you a different random number. So I'm drawing 4 cards. Okay. Okay, so let's run it. Okay. So the first time it will remove card number 29, then 17, then 31, and then 27. See what that card is? Oh, if you want to see what that card is, remember it is coming back. You're returning it. So I could do this. It is a card is coming back. A card is coming back. It's a card that is coming back, and I can say draw the card and dot to string, though I don't have to do it because it's returning a card. I can even do this. So you can show the position, and you can also show the card. A card is coming back. My deck draw card returns you what? A card. If you want to print what it is, you can even see that. So let's see. See, this is what will happen. So these numbers are the card number being drawn, and this will also show you the card being drawn. Only once it will. I haven't written it in everything. Null. Okay, what's wrong now? My deck, it's saying I'm going to draw the card from 16, so it cannot be null. Okay, did I forget something? Why is it returning null? It cannot, right? Something is wrong. Deck of cards, return null if random size. Oh, same thing that I did. Forgot my remove. Forgot my return. Same error that I made in the previous one, where I forgot the return. Remember, I forgot to write return here. So that's the same error I made again. Okay, now what? Now what doesn't it like? Now let's see what doesn't it like. Unreachable statement. Yeah, because after the return, there is nothing that you can reach. So makes sense? It says unreachable statement. Once you do a return, how can you say do this for me? So unreachable. So when this statement was here, it was giving me an error. I brought my mouse to the error. It said unreachable statement. It says this statement, you can never reach it. Why? Because there is a return here. Return means go back. So I said, oh, sorry, I know what I did. I'll pick it from here and I'll print it here. Okay, so since I forgot my return, nothing came back and null was coming back. Okay, so now let's try it again. So now it should show, there it is. So card number 49 is Queen of Clubs. That's the first time it drew. Now check, is the 49 card the Queen of Clubs? That is almost at the end, right? So 52, 51, and we know what it is. These are our cards, 52, 51, 50, and 49. Did it say 49? Yeah, except that it's starting from 0 to 51. Oops, okay. So 51, 50, and 49. Okay, and we were at clubs. Last was clubs. That's clubs ace, that's clubs king, and that's clubs queen. And that's exactly what it says, Queen of Clubs. The Queens of Clubs is gone. It's not in my deck anymore. I should never get it again. I cannot, it is removed. Now it will take a lot of time to check if it was removed, but it is removed. So I will have to write a method and maybe search for it and it will say it's not there. I can do that to double check. There's a method to search for something in it, and I know, but I don't know beforehand. You know what I mean? I don't know beforehand. It's only when I know after it runs. So there it picked up at card at 49. And then you can actually check. It's not such a big thing. We know the cards. So we are kind of cheating around it, but we know the cards. So see how quickly it makes sense if you know what you are doing. Let's print this out too. Let's print this out too. Let's print this out too. And remember to put a closing here, and a closing here. Okay. So I'm going to run it again because things will change. I have no clue who will go out this time. So once the Queen of Clubs is gone, by chance, again, see, that's why we call it pseudo-random. You may have the same thing again, like 49 comes again for the first time. And then it says it is 6 of spades. So for a minute, think about it. At position 4, so that's easy to do. 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So I have removed the card from the bottom. Like the clubs was much here. So this is spades of 2, spades of 3, spades of 4, spades of 5, and spades of 6. Spades of 6, and that's what it says, 6 of spades. So it's showing you which card am I drawing, and then it is removed. It won't appear again. Maybe if you do it, how many times? 52 times. You won't see the same card again. You won't. It's as easy as this. So let's do this. I want to do this job. How many times? I'm just using random hard-coded data. Give me how many times? 52? Let me write 0 to, 0 to 51. Okay. And we'll kind of comment this out. Okay. So this is going to draw all 52 cards one at a time. And this will prove that they are not repeated again. So it will start with 52. So this job is being done 52 times. And we have 52 cards in a deck.
So wouldn't it be 0 to 51?
Yeah, but I haven't used the equality sign. If I use the equality sign here, then I go till 51. If I use 52, I go only till less. If that makes more sense, sure. Whatever makes sense to you. All you have to be is careful that I'm doing the right thing. When I used 52, I didn't have the equality sign. That was the difference. Okay, now let's check. So hopefully. Okay, so now it will take some patience, but you can start doing it. That nothing gets repeated. So king of spades, ace of spades. And notice you'll spades, ace of spades, six of clubs, six of spades. It shouldn't be. And it will stop, and at the end, 0. This oh, that's position 0. At the end, what will it do? Nothing, because it said return null. So the way of checking is, if, and whoever wants to do that and take 2 minutes to do it, you can come and check that all these 52 cards will be not repeated. None of these cards will be repeated, because as soon as one gets removed, it can't, it's not there. Then another one gets removed and another one gets removed. And that proves because you have stopped somewhere. If they were not being removed, you would go on forever, but they are being removed. So at this point of time, size becomes 0. And you can print your numbers also if you like. I mean, it can be done too. You can always get the size of the deck and use it. It's not difficult at all. So that's drawing a card. Doesn't take long, but just needs a little thinking. And what do I need to use? Because random is such a common use in a language. I want to do something randomly. There, every class will give you a random class, which you can use. And usually you seed it, but I completely forget how you do it. It's out of my mind. I'll have to look it up. But it's not wrong. It's not the best. Seeding is recommended for a particular reason, and I forget it now why, but it's fine. It's not a big deal.
We take 5.
Sorry?
We take 5. We take like 5-minute break.
Sure, please. Okay. Take a 20-minute break. Come back in 20 minutes. We'll start at 3. I'll show you my game and then I'll give you your assignment. Okay? I just have to show you the game. Jared Roder, I cheated. But I know how to play it. I didn't know how to play it. Yes, Vidya.
Ran into an error yet to figure out how to fix.
Oh my God, you're colorful. Okay, what is it? What
So
is
my
the
error is it can't find.
class illegal architecture? Oh, okay, okay. I think I know. The class card is creating suit is not a valid value. Okay, come back to your deck of cards that you do. In your deck of cards, where are the 2 arrays that we defined? Remember, we defined 2 arrays too. Yeah, so it's spades, diamonds, clubs, and clubs. Okay, so that's your first one. So it's not a big deal, but yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, okay. So the other thing is, are they all in small? Yes, they're all in small. Now go to your card class, the card Java. And let's double check if the suits that you created there are all in lowercase, the faces. Yeah, they are. Okay. Try it again now. What is it saying? At what line? Cannot find symbol. This dot face name is equal to card name set face. Card name is coming from here. Okay. Card name is coming from here. And you're taking it and setting. Okay, so you've called it card name. Okay, so let's sort the faces. Once we've sorted it, look for the, oh, here it is. The problem is here. I called my parameter face name and you've called it card name. We want to check if this card is present in this face, right? So do one, and here, but here you used, but in another one I saw you using card name again. Okay, so there. Okay, so now we are saying, okay, so now what? Now this dot face name, which symbol can't it find? This dot face name. Now did you call something? Did you know you have it face name? Okay. What did you call your variable? Face name. Okay, so that's right. Okay, so now what? So you're saying if I was able to find my card name to lowercase is greater than equal to 0, this face name gets card name to lowercase. Okay. Cannot find symbol. If arrays dots, which symbol can't it find? Arrays dot binary search. Oh, binary spelling is wrong. RRY. Yeah, therefore it couldn't find it. Now what? Now cannot.
I misspelled that too.
Illegal. Yes, you misspelled Legal. Yeah, illegal, not like that. Try again. No problem. Come this side. It's kind of coming on my eyes. Can you get it? Okay. Yeah. Keep it. what does it say? Array index out of bounds. Okay, so see, it says array is out of bounds, 13, somewhere where it can't be 13. Okay, so let's go to your deck of cards. Okay, so here is where we are going. There it is. Equal is, if notice what you've done. What is the length of face names? 4. Your spelling is also wrong. Check that also. But how many do we have in face names? 2 to ace. That is 13 cards. And you are going from 0 to 13, which means you can only equal can't be used. Okay, make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the problem. Read the error. It says array index out of bounds. So that means something is wrong with your index. Okay. Okay, let's try it again. There.
And
It shouldn't be even showing you the marks. I haven't yet posted them. It's hidden. It should be hidden from you. I don't show the feedback till I mark everybody's. So I'm not sure why is it showing it. That's strange. Okay, let me double check. It shouldn't even be showing you your marks because I haven't marked it yet, right? When I mark it, I'll post an announcement. Then you'll be able to see it. Guys, how many of you are seeing marks in your Java? Is anybody seeing the marks in Java? I'm marking it, but I don't show it to you till I mark everybody. But Devinder, no. She's seeing her marks. You are too?
Yeah, I can see the mark, but I can't see what the mark.
Oh, that's silly. I don't want to even show the, I mean, just because I have to do it together for everybody. So it's hidden by me, but I don't know how you're seeing it. So I'm going to check what's happening.
I think it's because we can see our total percentage.
So you should be able to see the total, but it shouldn't. So you are inferring from it, or are you seeing assignment 1 marks?
I could just see the total, but because we've only done the one assignment.
That's why you've okay. So it won't come up till I say they have been posted. So I'm just marking them. And as I mark them, you can see your marks, but you won't be able to see your rubric because it's hidden. So the rubric will come back to you, okay? That's what you want to, and I'm saying I've hidden it. How are you seeing it? It makes sense because that's your only assignment you did.
Yeah.
It will take time. I can't mark more than 10 in a day, even if I put in 2.5 hours. Like I come here and I go back and I try to do it. Anyway, I'm hoping till by the weekend I'll be able to finish it if I work Saturday and Sunday also. Oh, that's why she's seeing it. Oh, well, whoever sees it. Did you figure out, Amanda, your package statements and everything are working?
yeah.
When you go, you not use mine because they're 2 different packages. If you do, just change package. So, is it working now?
So it's because I went to Tuesday class.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, but you have to be careful that you need the right package statement.
Yeah, I got it all.
For drawing however many cards you need, couldn't you just put it into the variable? Asking for an input? Draw.
Yeah. It depends on how many you want to. My aim was to see that it works, but it depends on what you will do. Mm-hmm.
It's showing 4. It's not converting it to like
Not bad.
no bad.
Not bad.
No bad.
Two string method of a card.
Trying to do that because I'm doing it with the for loop. I just try with the for each.
Wait, now let me see.
See, I don't see any more migrants. No.
Okay, go to your card class.
Yeah, I had to rush assignment like week 5 the other night because I had to go through the main lesson and then yeah, and then
The problem
I had
is
to
here.
redo.
Where is
all
the
the
printing
work
coming
we
from?
just did.
This file, right?
Led you to onto a new file. It was the exact
You're
same.
showing me the face name and of what should you show here?
And it's 11:57.
Yeah. So get
Do it.
not get face.
It's like
That's
3
exactly what it
minutes.
is.
So like,
Yeah,
Right?
thank you. Sometimes I do that. So just submitted the in-class version of it, and we didn't accept it because it's the in-class. It's the exact different thing, different names. Different file names, pretty much. It was only worth 1 point. 1 point, so it's not hard to work. I mean, especially after facing it's like
$8 to penny.
I just literally just pointed out time. It's not that I don't. Your first website? On mine, somehow I figured out that it was mine. We were in semester 1. I still have my website. Yeah, no. You just have to go to the Druid portal. And from there you have the host information. As for the contact, the way you connect to people should also just be in the host name and all that. Yeah. So go to the portal. Log in, sign in. You sign in with your username. I would stop using it. I will use the other 2 that we provided. You just delete these.
That I did actually. Shut down. He gets enough signatures or something, we can go with them. To shut down a union.
Excuse me. Getting you only have to do the example and you'll be fine. Just read a little more on it, look for the behavior. And of course, you can always come and ask it.
I'm understanding a little bit more.
Yeah, if you get the concepts, yeah, hopefully. I know it's not easy. It wasn't when I did it for the first time, but yeah, I mean, I'm experiencing exactly like when I did it for the first time, it didn't make sense at all. Yeah, now I know more of it. 10 years, 15 years back, it was new to me. When Java came, it was the first object-oriented programming language that I learned too, and I wasn't a student. You know what I mean? So it wasn't easy. Yeah, it is. I can't keep up to it. Exactly. And they keep adding new classes. Like secure random was added last Java. So I didn't know about it till I really needed to use it. Oh, this room is getting cold.
I stopped using that one.
Did you say that the Java thing was marked?
You know what? I'm marking it. So not when everybody is done, then I post an announcement. Yeah, I don't know, 14, 15 or something.
I had a feeling.
So now, go to your profile,
Oh, really? You guys get a burger.
It's 4 quarts in liters, right? 4 quarts and liters. Do you know how they match? I don't know. I'll have to research for it. 2 liters. Yeah.
I actually missed Tuesday's class, so that's why
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm not sure about like
The assignment?
yeah, team and assignment. So that's why I'm attending this class.
Do you know somebody from the Tuesday section? Do you know anybody?
No, actually, all of my friends are in this class, but due to schedule problems, I changed my class.
So are you back in Thursday or just for today?
Yeah, just for today. Since I missed that class, so that's why.
But you will be coming to the Tuesday class, right?
Yeah. And I can
So-
do them individually on my own.
No, you can't. I don't want any individual ones. I don't want to mark more than 30 assignments. No, the idea is that you put your heads together and present it in class if required. But if you have somebody that you know here, we can do it and maybe we'll see how it works for the presentation, okay? Here and then work with him, okay? Okay, guys, are we ready? I think 3 o'clock is when we were coming back, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so now my last step. So again, as I said, if you need more methods, I just did the draw chord because it was asked. And in a way, it's good that I was able to show you the random number generator. Okay, and again, I have to read the secure random. It's kind of, they're not talking a lot about it, but I'll get to it. So it does work. All the 52 cards are randomly drawn. I didn't count them. I should have. I'm hoping they are right. There are only 52 of these and no more, no less. But random numbers can repeat. You can have the same 4 number more than once. It's just a random number. But you shouldn't have the same card again, right? Random number is random number generation. So seeding is just recommended. I couldn't get a lot out of it of what I was reading, but I'll find out and make it better. Now, what I've done is this. Learn how to play this game because Jared actually had done it and I made some changes, or I want to, and I did actually. In printing and everything, I don't want anything to be printed here, but this is how the game is played. Okay, let's Sean play it with me. So you take your cards, right? I mean, I'm just dividing it into 2 halves for now, but you basically deal cards to 2 players, right? So Sean keeps 1 and I keep 1, and this is how it goes. We draw our first card each. So he has a king and I have a jack. So he is the winner. He takes it and adds it to his pile. They become his cards. We open up a card again, and it may happen, and this way again. Lucky. Okay, so he takes it again. The situation can come when, let's try. It's now ace is more. He has his luck. So there are 3 possibilities if you look at it, right? Either my card is more than his, so I win, I take it. Not win, I just take that card. Or his card is more than mine, and he takes it, right? That's situation number 2. And the third situation is both of our cards are the same. Right? In that situation, it's called a war because who takes it now? Therefore, it's called war game. Okay. So what happens in war is, oh God, but when the third situation comes, if the cards are same, then we both add it to the war pile. So we make a pile in because you know what I do? I do a little cheating here. No, there is a little. Okay, there it is. Okay. So he has an 8 and I have an 8. So the first 2 are simple. If his card is more than mine, he takes it, adds it to his pile, and it's gone from my pile. If my card is more than his, I take the card and I add it to my pile. We keep playing till one of us finishes all their cards empty-handed. It won't be empty less than 3. Why? Because I'll just show you what the game is. So then it's done. Whoever wins, right? Whoever is left with less than 3 cards. Now this 3 cards is just this. Suppose I and his card are the same. We both have the same card. We draw the card, and we're drawing from the top. The deal is from the top. So I have the deal method, which will work for me. Okay. So we both draw and we both have the same card. In this case, this goes in the middle because it doesn't belong to any of us. And both of us draw 2 more cards, irrespective. We just draw 2 more cards and we add it to the pile without even looking at, we don't compare. And we take the third one now and we open it up. And the situation is the same 3 situations. Either mine is more, his is more, or we have the same card by chance again. And it keeps adding to the war pile. So anytime it is same, it adds to the war pile. And after that, we just draw 2 more and add it to the war pile to make it bigger. We could just have given 1 each. We could have given 3 each. We could have given 4. But this game is just saying 2 more, just add it to the war pile, right? So that the game finishes quickly. If you don't do that, you don't add anything to the war pile. You just keep playing. So now again, he drew a card and I drew a card and he won. So he takes my card and he takes everything in the war pile also. So that's where the war pile goes. That's my game. So what have I done? I've used a deck of cards. I've used the deal top card method because I divide it into 2 parts. And then again, I have to deal and I have to do some logic. So I'm going to show you how I wrote it so that you get an idea. And what is your, thank you. And what is your aim? He's just lucky today. I'm not playing cards today, that means. And what you have to do is this. after I have discussed my game with you and I've shown it and you have any questions, I'll answer them for you. It's very simple. The only technique, the only logic you have to think is how to play it, right? Then you choose a partner from your section, so you can work two people at a time. So two of you get together. You, before you leave class today, you choose a game for me and you say, this is the game I'm going to create for you. So I keep putting it on the blackboard so that once a game is chosen, it's gone. I don't want you to repeat games because other things will also repeat them. Okay. So two of you get together, think who works well with you. There are no complaints, please. Nobody's coming back to me. You think who you want to work with. Work. Create a game before you leave today and also written. Email me. One of you email me and say, these are my group members and this is the game we are creating. Then I will officially put up the card and the deck of cards classes that I have created and my game too. It doesn't matter. You're not going to write my game anyway on Blackboard, so that you have it for reference. So you will use my card class and my deck of cards class to create a new game. If you need anything extra, more methods in your deck of cards or whatever, then you just add them. That's up to you. You can change it if you like. So you can go up the ladder if you like, but don't remove things. Don't remove the validation from the card class. It doesn't make sense, right? So card will definitely not change. I mean, that's a class which may not change. In deck of cards, if you want to add more methods, you can do that. It's up to you. Maybe you require something else. I've just written the common one, shuffle and so on. So here also, if you wanted to shuffle, remember how all my cards are in sequence, which is not how you play with cards. I mean, I'll have to shuffle them before I play a game. And that's what I will do. And shuffle them as many times as you like. So each pair will give me a card game. Something that is easy, because otherwise you'll be working on it for ages. Has the minimum rules, because the more rules you have, the more time it will take to build. Keep that in mind, right? So you may know a name and you'll say, oh, that's interesting. But keep in mind, if you have a lot of rules, you have to implement all those rules. Like for me, there are no rules. It's simple. The rules are my card is more than Shane's, his is more than me, or we're equal. That's the only rule in my game, right? So we'll go through my card game and then paired up, choose a card game, email me with your group members. One person does that, not both of you, with your group name and your card game. And I'll give you a week. So this is Thursday today. I'll give you a week till next Friday to complete it. And you submit it on Blackboard. So I'll put those instructions of what to submit and what not to submit. I was only looking for one Java file, but if you change your deck of cards, then I need more. So I'll just say zip it up. Right, that's all I'll ask. But I don't need, if you haven't changed anything, if you haven't changed my card class and you don't change my deck of cards, you use those, then I just require one file from you. And to make it easy, you can always add your main method right at the bottom. Like all you do is create a game object and play the game. That's all you have to do. There's nothing else you will do. So I'm going to go through my card game. And as I said, I have, because I don't play a lot of these games. I know a few for sure. But what I've done is I have taken Jared's help here and I've changed what I wanted to, and it makes sense now. Since I've played it, it makes sense. Okay, so I'm playing with two people. Now you could create a person class and make it more bigger, but I'm not going to make it bigger. I'm trying to see, can you use the card and the deck of cards? So that's the aim here. But you could create persons and then create a person class and then create 2 or 3 or 4 players, how many you want out of it, and then work with them. But I've kind of just kept it very simple. This is a 2-card game, 2-people game. So I have an array list called P1 hand, because what will one person have? Some cards. And I have a P2 hand, which will be again what? Some cards. Right? So both persons need an array list. I mean, they're not even persons. To me, they're 2 machines, 2 array lists. Right? So what will I need in my game of war are 2 instance variables. 1 to keep the cards for the first person, and 2 to keep the cards for the second person. Please notice, what will I need? A collection. Again, an array list of cards. Because when we start playing the game, each of the 2 players, I'm just kind of doing, each of the 2 players has half. When I start, I keep dealing till my deck is done. So deal, and then half one person will get and another half another. So basically 2 array lists. So P1 hand and P2 hand, right? That's what I'm calling them. So don't complicate it, keep it simple. The aim is that you understand how to use the deck of cards. It's not too complicated. I'm not expecting huge games from you or perfect games. I'm expecting something that we can understand each other, and you will see if you understand what I'm doing. So I'm creating one hand called P1 hand, which is an array list of cards, and another hand called P2 hand, which is an array list of cards. So 2 instance variables my game needs. Plus I have total cards. I created it as a constant and I called it 52. I don't want to use magic numbers anywhere in my code. I'm looking for good, efficient code. No magic numbers in your code. So I'll make it clear that I don't want to see this because I don't want you to repeat what you didn't do in assignment 1. Okay, so what do I do in my constructor? I create an array list for P1. I create an array list for P2. P2 means player 2. Hand just means we call it a hand, right? I create a deck of cards object because I need to play with deck of cards if I have to, to work. So remember, I already have a deck of cards class. I create a deck out of it. So now I have a deck with 52 cards, though they are in sequence, all spades, all diamonds, all hearts, and all whatever, clubs. And then I shuffle it. I have to shuffle it before I start playing with it because they are in a particular sequence. And then I say, okay, deal my cards now. So deal the cards is a private method here, which is going to just deal, divide it into half and half. I don't know what you will do. What kind of game will you play? Will you play with 2 players, 3, 4? I have no idea. You can decide. I am going to play with 2, so I have 2 array lists. So my object will have 2 array lists, and of course I will need a deck. Okay. Now, how do I deal the cards? What I've done in dealing the cards is there are many ways of doing it. I've kind of gone simple. All even numbered cards will go to one person and odd numbered cards to another. Like, how do I divide it into 2 piles? First card, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. So that's how. I mean, that's the easiest way was this, right? So what did I do? I started from 0. I went on to total cards. Instead of total cards, you could also use deck.size. You have to use 52. You already have this deck called the deck. So instead of a local variable here, you could have to put it as an instance variables. Every game uses deck of cards. So you can do this. You can improve it whatever you like. As I said, this is not my code, but I can improve it. In this sense, I can do it my way. I shouldn't say improve. It really depends on whatever person. So you can create a deck right here. That way you can use it wherever you like. Okay, so I've created a deck of cards as an instance variable of the class, which is okay, right? You play with a deck of cards. That way, what I can do is instead of using that 52, I've removed it from the local. I've removed it from the constructor and I've put it here as an instance variable. And now instead of using this 52, what can I do? I can use. So I don't even need this constant now. I can say the deck dot. What isn't it like? What isn't it like? We can do that. We can do that. If you just want to give the top 10, the top 26 to somebody and we can do that. This way it's kind of like we do usually in games. We don't give cards together. We always kind of distribute them, right? Why is size not coming up? Oh, deck of cards is an object of type that. Okay. Okay, no, because it was not an array list. Size is a method of an array list. The deck is just an object. I'm thinking inside it, which is not correct. Okay, so see how am I distributing my cards? This loop is clear. You have to do it 52 times. There are 52 cards in a deck. So I start from 0 and I stop at 51. What do I do? If my card number is just an integer variable, I is equal to 0, everybody recognizes the modulus operator, divide by 2 and see the remainder, right? So that's the modulus operator in Java. It says if the result is 0, give it to one person, else give it to the other person. Not a big deal at all. I mean, there is some way I have to say, how do I distribute cards? So I'm basically saying card number 1 is odd, will go to P2, right? So suppose Chan is P2, right? If odd numbers are going to him and even numbers are coming to me, 2, 3, 4. So all even numbers are coming to P1, all odd numbers are going to P2. Easiest way to divide. Or the other one, as Oscar was saying, can you kind of say the first 26 go to 1 and the... Could be. There's nothing wrong in it. You still have to use a loop. You'll say for 1 to 26, add it to one array list, and for the rest, add it to the other list. We still have to add it to the 2 P hands, right? So if you want to go that route, that's up to you. 52 is an even number, so it's okay. It will always be equally divided. So this loop is just dealing the cards. And it's a private method. Why? Because it's not required outside. Only the game requires to see it. So it's a private method, returns void. And all I've done is I've written a for loop that goes from 0 to 52. And I add either to one or to the other. So what's the deal the cards doing? The deal the cards is basically taking the cards and putting it into two piles, two array lists. The first array list is P1 hand. The second array list is P2 hand. So I've dealt it. I've done it. I'm dealing it. Dealing is finished. After I deal, I have to now play the game. Right now, play the game. Play the game is here. And of course, it's a public method because you play the game. Like it's a method that you will require in your main. So I'll create a object. What will I do? How will I play this game? What was it called? Game of war. Okay, so you can actually write it right down here if you like, though it's not a good practice, but it can be done. Okay, so what will I do in my main? My game is called Game of War. So Game of War, my game. Create it. You're basically going and buying a game. That's all you're doing, kind of, if you want to think it that way. Okay, that is the game I've just bought. And I'll now go my game dot play the game. Those are the two lines you need in main. Therefore, I said you could add the main method to your class definition itself if you want to keep it in one Java file. Because your game is an application. Your game is an application, right? Game is not a kind of it's not a class per se, it's an application. Classes are usually made when it will be used like commonly. But anyway, so this is all I need and I can play the game. Okay, so now let's see how the game is being played. Okay, so it will create, it will shuffle, it will create, it will deal the cards, and now you're playing the game. You could have actually made this a private method and called it from the constructor. Nothing stops you. You can call it right from here, constructor. Once you create a game, it automatically plays. You can do it from here too. So variations, it's up to you. This is Jared's variation. You can, we can change it to anything. Okay, so now how is the game being played? Let's see how the game is played. So you will keep on playing. So while P1 is, now what is this empty? Method of the array list. Is empty returns true if the array list is empty, else it returns false. You could use size if you like, but is empty looks more, it sounds more easier to understand. So I'm saying while P1 has something in his hands and P2 has, so notice the not. While P1 is not empty and P2 is not empty. Just imagine P1, P2 being two buckets full of cards. There are array lists, right? So while they are not empty, keep playing the hand, and the hand is when we are drawing. Now, if one of them is empty, if P1 becomes empty, player 2 is the winner. If else, player 1 is the winner. So I'm returning it. I'm returning the string. Player 1 is the winner or player 2 is the winner at the end. It will. Ultimately, the game will stop, right? The game will stop. When will it stop? One person finishes all his or her cards. That's when the game stops. And they will. How it plays, they will do it. Now let's see what the play hand does. How do I play? Now remember what we were doing in play. We were removing, you could use the deal top card if you like, but it says remove 0 from the first pile. Remove 0. You could call the deal card top card method. It was available. It wasn't required. So you can start looking and start saying, oh, I can do this in this way also. So remove the first card from both the piles. Get it out. So instead of saying P1 hand dot remove, you could have said deal top of card. Usually deal means as if you're distributing cards, and remove is basically saying I pick the top cards. Therefore, remove is just making more sense, but the deal method will also work for you. Anyway, yes, it will. Okay, so I remove. So both of us, so there are two piles here, right? Shane has half the pile and I have half the pile. So what is remove doing? And I pick it up. So they kind of come out of the array list, and now we compare. Now we compare. So once we draw it, now this printing has been written because you're playing a game. How will I know what did player 1 get and what did player 2 get? So I have to print out. It's an application. Go ahead, go ahead.
What if you create an if statement? Like if player...
We will. That's my next step. There it is. That's how you will compare, right? The three things we were saying. My card is greater, his card is greater, or card are equal. This is just printing what came out. Because who knows whether it's running, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm going to show you my card, player 1's card and player's 2 card, and say this is his or her card so that you can see what the card is. 2 of spades, 4 of whatever, so that we can see what is happening. So I've said no printing statements in classes, but remember, this is not a class, this is an application. It's a game being run. Okay, now here are the three cases. P1's face value is greater than P2's face value. So if my card is higher, what do? I add my card back to my pile. because I removed it. I added back, and I also add Shane's card to my pile. P1 hand dot add. Both cards are added to P1s because why? Because P1 was the card was bigger. What is the second condition? The other person has a better face value. P2 card is bigger. So if he is bigger, my card gets added to his pile and his own card also goes back to his pile. So you kind of think of it as if we have two buckets here, right? From the bucket, we both take out a card. So let's do it, Shane, so that people who came late can see. Are you ready to play another one?
Mhm.
Your luck was good. Maybe I should play with Amanda. Okay. So, so remove. So let's remove a card. So that's what we did. Remove, right? So he has 6 and I have 3. His card is bigger, so they were removed. So his card adds back, and my card also adds back. That's exactly what add is doing to that bucket, right? So this was the situation. His face value was greater than mine. Remember, there's a get face value method. Every card has a face value. So his card also goes back to his pile, and my card also goes back to his pile. P2 dot hand. Yes.
When they're going back to that array, are they automatically going to the end of the array list?
Doesn't matter. Yes, but that's the default nature. Yes. You could have said, I mean, that's the default nature of add. It adds to the end of the list, array list. They're array list, not array. Okay. Array list. Yes, by default, addition is always done at the end. If you wanted to add to the top, we just have to use add with an index. You can do that too, but it really doesn't matter to us, right? Because usually we do put it at the end of the pile. So add works for us. The third condition, we both have the same, not the same card, the same face value. We create a war pile. That's another third list. That's another pile. That's another set of cards, nothing else. My card gets added to the war pile. His card also gets added to the war pile. And we play war hand of war pile. And we kind of repeat. So by chance, if his and my card were the same, which never happens, we both put it kind of in the middle. That becomes the war pile, right? And now the next hand is this. Pick 2 of mine, add it. He picks 2 of his, add it, and we again open our third cards, right? So since his 7 is greater than 5, he takes his card, he takes my card, and he takes the war pile also. That's what the play war pile will do now. Not a single card was more than his. Okay. Let's see how the.
Go to the casino.
I only went once and I lost, so I've never gone again. Anyway, so that's the play war hand. Okay, so how he must go exactly? We'll send him. I tell my son sometimes he always wins any kind of raffle tickets. So if you have to do something, I'll say, can you do it for me? It never works. Okay, so here is how you play the war hand. Okay, now what is this minimum card? Since we are saying we will both put 2 cards and then play the third one, we must at least have 3 cards to play. Otherwise, we can't play. So if a person has less than 3 cards, he anyway will have to give all his cards to the other person. His hand, because then only one of the person wins. Because remember, I've said if empty, then the person has won. So I check. Do you have less than minimum cards? So do you have less than 3 cards? So if I only am left with less than 3, I'm done anyway. Like I can't do anything. So what do? I add all my cards to P2. I give away my cards to P2. So P2 add all. Notice instead of the add method, add all does a better job. Takes all the cards, though there are only 2 maximum, and gives it to P1. And I clear my array list. Clear says done. Size is 0. Size is 0. And P2 also takes all cards from the war pile. There may be a war pile in between. He takes that. It could be empty, but there could be something. So that happens if I have less than 3 cards, and I have to do the same with Sean also, right? Sean may have, so there is an if to check, do I have less than 3 cards? And we check, does Sean have less than 3 cards? Do no else here. We have to check both hands. So minimum cards is 3. Why this magic number 3? Because the game says whenever we kind of get stuck or there is a tie, we have to give 2 cards in the middle to the war pile and we play the third one. We can only do that if we have 3 cards at least. Only then can we do this, right? So if for whatever reason, and I'm sure this will happen. Suppose this was the picture and there was some war pile in the between. Now I'm only left with 2. How can I play if I'm doing a war pile? Because war says give 2 in between and then, because that's what I've made 2. You could have done 3, you could have done 4. So for me, the minimum, a player must have at least 3 cards to play further. And if he or she doesn't have it, all they do is what? Take everything away from that person and give all of them to P2. P and then clear the hand of P1. P1 clear. Clear method is again a method of the array list which just makes size as 0. Right? And then add all. You have to clear because add all is just adding everything. It's not removing it from here. Right? You have to clear it. Clear it says just clear everything. And then he or she takes everything from the war pile too, because we are playing, this is a war going on. So I check it for me, I check it for Sean, P2, and if that's not the case, now we play a war. Like we play a hand. How is it played? Notice, 2 cards are going from my pile to the war pile. P1 hand dot remove, P1 hand dot remove. So we add the 2 cards to the war pile. 2 cards are going from Sean to the war pile. Remember how I said we put 2 each? So that's removing position 0, removing. As soon as you remove from 0, the second one also comes at 0. Keep in mind, it's always from the top. So now both of us have added to the war pile, right? And now we are going to check our third card. Again, the same thing. We check our third card. So remove a card from me, my pile, remove a card from Sean's pile. And now we are going to check again. I'm showing the cards so that we can see the game is working correctly. And we do the same thing again. We again compare cards. Whose value is greater? So if his value is greater, I take the war pile. P1 takes the war pile because P1 is the winner. Not the winner, the card which is greater. I take Sean's card also, and I take my card and I put it back on my pile. If Sean's value is more, then he takes everything from the war pile. Add all from the war pile to P2 hand. P2 hand means Sean. Take my card which I had drawn, put it in his war pile and put back his own card into the war pile. And if that's not the case, that means there is a match again. We repeat it again. We repeat the war play hand again. And notice something. This method play war hand is calling itself. This is called recursion. Play war hand is calling itself. It will keep calling itself till one of this situation arises. One person will finish with all the cards. So this is called recursion in Java when a method calls itself. You've never done it, but it's perfectly fine as long as you have to remember that the method must stop somewhere. And it will stop if either mine or Sean's number of cards in our hands are less than 3. And it will stop. So recursion says keep calling, keep calling, keep calling, but there has to be a stopping condition. If there is no stopping condition, then it's an infinite call and the system will break down because it will be out of memory. Right? You will have that out of memory. It wasn't tough at all. Right? So all I needed was deck of cards, and then I went deep, half, and then we started playing. And there were only 3 simple rules. Rules were simple. There was not much to make. My card was more, my card was less, our cards were equal. And with equality, put it in the war pile, draw 2 more. It's just, I asked Jared, what's this magic number 2? He says, you can go 2, you can go 3, you can go 4. I had never played it, so I had to understand it before I understand the game, like the code. And now it makes complete sense because I know what is happening. So he puts 2 cards, I put 2 cards, and we again draw a third one. Again compare. Oh, by chance they're equal. We repeat the process. We put the equal ones inside, again 2, pick up the third one. Equal again, put it 2, 2, and again. So the game will end someday, like sometime, not day. It will end very quickly. The more you put in the war pile, the quicker it will end. Because if I'm putting 2, and we are reducing our cards. That's the main aim. You say, no, I don't want to do that. Don't do it. Don't put it. The war pile only gets 1 each, and we then again compare the next one and the next one. It could be a variation. Because he had already written this game, I thought it was easier to cheat, right? So I did. So the system out printlns are showing you what card I have drawn, like not drawn. What card do I have picked up from the top? That's what the system prints show you. And it also tells me how many in my hand. So remember, this will also count in my hand till I kind of lose it. You know what I mean? So that's what the system printing statements are showing. So every time you play, it will say Anju has a 7 and Sean has whatever, player 1, player 2. And then you will say, oh, it's the right thing. It should go to Sean, or it should. So next time the size should increase. That's how you figure out if your game is working properly. Unless you have system print statements, how will you figure out? So all I do now in the main is, if I go to the main, and as I said, you could have taken these 2 statements and you could have added it right at the end of here, before your class ended. You could have written your public static main method right here itself, because that's all we want. What is it? It's a public static void, returns nothing. It's called main, takes an array of strings. You can call them whatever you like. what did I do? I did something that was not correct for sure. No, Control C is all I did here. There. I could write my main method right in my class, and now I can run this code. Because main has, I mean, a game is an application. You know what I'm trying to say? The game is an application. Whatever you like, if you can, I mean, it's just this, that's all you will need actually. You will have to create a game object and you will have to play the game. The play the game will do everything else for you, like mine is doing. The play the game and all the rest of the methods, look, all of them, the rest of the methods are private. They're all private. Nobody needs it outside. Only the play the game will call it. So the play the game is a public method. All other methods in my class are private. Because the game is the application. That's it. And so, I mean, I don't need to, I can't put main in two places, but you can put it at the end of this class and then this becomes your test, this becomes your game. And that's fine by me. That way I only have one class to mark. Anyway, so let's try it now. So it will keep running for some time, of course, but at the, oh, what was it returning? Okay, I know what the problem is because I played the game. Where is my, but that was returning whether a person has lost or it was returning a string. And see, that's another thing. If a method is returning something and I don't do something with it, it's in the air. Returns something and you don't save it somewhere and use it, then it's useless. Like it's useless, but it won't complain. It says you didn't bother to do it. So this returns either player 1 is a winner or player 2 is a winner. At the end somewhere it will say, here it is, player 2 is the winner. And of course, all these printing statements have been put so that I can check, is it playing properly? Oops. Seems like I have more in it than it was. I think we shuffled it and so on. But anyway, here is somewhere, here it, oh God. So here is where the game starts. So you can kind of, if you want to go, and of course it has been tested. Come on. Okay, there. So player 1 card is 6 of diamonds and player 2 card is 7 of spades. And they both have 26 cards in hand, right? When they begin, they both have 26 cards in hand. Then player 1 card is 3 of diamonds and has 25. Remember this, because this person was less, this is 6 and this is 7. So 6 has gone to the 7 pile. So I'm left with 1 card less. I only have 25 in my hand and player 2 has 27. So this way you can go and check if things are working properly. So we both started with 26 and 26. Then player 1 lost a card. So I was left with 25. The other person got 27. So it's kind of, that's how you will check it works. And then what happened? 24 and 20. It looks like Sean and I are playing. It's reducing on player 1 and it's increasing on player 2. But then I got 1 because I had a king and the other player had a 9. So it came back to me. And this will go on. It has again come back and it will go on and on till, of course, somewhere it will finish. It has to finish because we only have limited cards. But who knows? Maybe it will go on forever. I and Jared were playing and every time we had a war, somehow we had the same card. God knows how, but that's how it was. So it could, but it will stop in due time. It will stop in due time. So this is my game. Easy to understand, not much to do, but the main things to be understood is you know how to use the deck of cards. You know how to add something to an enemy list. You know how to remove something. The rules. And that's more than enough if you can figure that out. Okay, so we have 20 minutes left. Very quickly, you can partner up with somebody. I'll put this on Blackboard for you, right? I'll put this up so that you have it for reference. Also, Jared had given some links to a student and she liked it. So she said they were useful, right? So I've put those links also on Blackboard. Wherever, whatever helps you. So I haven't gone through them. I don't have the patience of going through so many classes, but the links are on Blackboard. You're most welcome to go and do them. But you're not allowed to use my game. You can give that code back to me. And you can do tic-tac-toe because Jared has tic-tac-toe on one of his links. So as long as it is your own work, you can take help of any resources you like. No cheating, no copy. That's all. That's all the rule is. Okay. So group up, look for a game. Let me know the name and the game and the group names. Email one email to me, and you're done. And you can start taking games so that you don't copy.
It has to be a card game.
Yes, yes. It has to be a card game because you'll be using my classes. Okay. Come on. What goes? The quicker you decide,
We're gonna do go fish.
go fish.
We're gonna do
Oh,
blackjack.
no, I'm doing blackjack.
I'm doing blackjack right here.
I want to do blackjack. Then I get it. If not, I want to do blackjack.
What, you want to flip for it?
Our implementation. Our implementation.
Exactly. As long as the implementations are different and I don't see anything going, common games can. I know people will take more than one common game. You are in the class?
No, I am.
What's your name?
My name is Navdeep.
And you are
HB.
I love it. You know what I should have got a sheet. I've written on a sheet. But if you have group, that could be.
I have
Yes, yes, you must not be the same part.
because I have partner in that class. We are in the game.
I'm not sure if you have, I can't remember. I can't remember. So you can send me a picture and I can talk to you. What's your name? But if you said you that you did, then you have.
He haven't showed you the game, but he should have some of the game.
What did you send? What did you choose?
It's kind of, it's cards, it's card matches. People like the number matches, the card matches. Whoever has more cards.
Okay, you send me an email. I don't remember. Here takes the card, so it's the same suit. So all you're comparing is a suit, nothing to do with face value. You're just but remember, it should stop somewhere, right? So you're basically saying pick up, the same becomes 1%. Okay, so if the suit doesn't match, then
it just goes on, it just
ball pipes. Okay, and then gets that ball pipe. No better. You have to think of if you're putting up a game that has rules, right?
like if one day
So since your suit and my suit are same, they're moving. No, they go to the ball pipe.
the one with the like a spade, then you also have a spade and then it
Next time, do I start it?
yes,
Yeah, because this is it's not always, it's not both of us doing things together. So you have to be careful. And the next time he puts the first time with this one, and then both then what happens? It's not the same, so what happens?
it just buys
And it's like, it doesn't come to anybody.
all the cards.
Okay, so now if you buy either of us has one, then who's the next player? Somebody has to put it again. Yeah? So anything goes wrong, your game will not end. Who decides this, right? So who has to be here? Right? I will ask for rules from you, because otherwise I won't know how to play. Yeah. Guys, you have to be very clear that rules have to be figured out properly. If there are no rules, the game won't end. The game has to end. So if you're making up a game, it's up to you, but rules have to be there, okay? Yes. Yeah, what is it called? What game is it? Actually, does it make sense? What is it doing? Same
Actually, what happened is, so I have some cards that you have to normally there are people like where we can play. So people like draw cards.
So it's
When the 9 and 9 comes out, so suppose I drew this card, so this one goes to me.
my best thing to work is
How do you draw when you play games like that? So suppose you and I have been, right?
That's right, exactly. You can stay all night. You know, so it would be
So that means and if cards are same, then equal to the same. But where do these cards go by that time?
So we have to show that how many draws and how many we have.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking your total would be more than mine, so you take everything. Mine would be
I just give
just done only one hand. Like one line. Yeah, like this is the game at all, right? This is just taking out 3 cards and doing one go. Let's try to play a bigger game. Like, don't go just one hand and you're won or lost. Like, 3 cards taken out from one pile, 3 cards taken out from second pile. I'm just giving an example, okay? Just so that you have an idea. So you take out 3 cards from both piles, add up, whoever is bigger wins. That's not a game as per se. You know what I mean? It's just one hand you play. So when you're playing, play a game like a game.
yes.
Okay? Keep that in mind. If it's really small and silly, then of course you won't get any chance.
Yeah, the hand, exactly. Because you have to find all the hands first. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So what,
You know, that's it. You have to say.
So what I was playing, okay.
You know, this
This is game over.
exactly, you know.
Okay, so we did this, right, to begin. Okay, okay, so open up one card. Since I have a bigger card, it goes in my pile. Okay, now let's see the game. So we have this, it's not who goes first, we're doing it together. But if your game has who goes first, then we have to be careful. Okay,
That's
so you win this one. And it goes to your pile. Open again. So this keeps happening, and if yours is what it goes. It keeps happening, and these are 2 cases. There may be a case. So you draw a few and I draw a few. So now they're equal. So what happens? They kind of go in the middle. This is the draw side, right? And we kind of take 2 more, even without shooting. Just pick up 2 more and add 1 more. The first, just take 2 more. It doesn't matter what. And do the same thing now with the third one. Again, by chance, they will equal. This again goes and we take 2 more. Add it to the card. Doesn't matter. It's just 2, right? Now we are going to pick up the third card. Since I got more than 2, I take this. Add all from here, add back mine, add back. Not maximum, not the maximum, you decide the maximum. 1 person will finish on. Okay, the minimum is 3 because suppose, for example, we had this case, yours and mine were same and you put it. Right, suppose this is the case. Now, you had all this things. Now, this is the thing they were supposed they were saying. I only have two left, so I can't do anything. So I kind of, I give it to you and you.
Where you would have
So
clicked
therefore,
that
I
day,
said,
you understand what I'm saying?
3 or more.
Yeah.
Then can I pay for it? But this is the news I have to stop. If it was a war. If it wasn't, then of course you win and we again, no, I win, sorry. Again, my cards went up and we can start. But somebody will lose at the end. It may take time, but it will happen. That's what I'm saying. You must start. Right, at a certain point, or and so when you're drawing cards, so if the two players are playing, are we drawing them together? Sometimes like we are, or sometimes games like two or five or like
Yeah.
this.
That's how I would have, because we're even using.
I get a card, I take 10 by 10. Since I won, I go before the card. You have to decide to relax.
So we can support a call by. Everybody's like.
That's you can decide what to do. But it has to be a logical, real thing. Don't make that because it's quite difficult. Sometimes you can't and you're
So we can also build the same new
Guys, please don't make up games. If you make up your games, you may end up in an infinite loop. Your game never ends. And that will create problems. So pick up a game that you know ends. Right? So one player has to win. So if you try to make up, you could be smart enough to make up, but then there are so many things. How does it end? What if it doesn't end? So you all play cards. If not, Google it. Google it. Yes. Which one are you playing? What is it? Just 10? Keep in mind, I have to know what your game is. I should be able to understand it. And then, what is it called? You know the name? Just as long as it has a closing time.
How much?
You can think about it if you like, and you can email me later in the day. I don't know that. 5 people play? Sure. As long as there is a winner there at the end of the game ends, it's fine.
Somehow similar with last
I got
Has to finish. I don't know whether you need to, if the game doesn't finish. Don't invent it.
So it's kind of difficult. So like,
Yeah, but you can't use anything that I've used, like don't.
so
Because when you copy code, you can.
So we are planning that there would be 26 cards. So first, the person that comes first is going to drop 5 cards. They will be so whenever whoever comes first is going to drop 5. And then we're going to add the list. So whoever has the bigger number, all the cards go. So it's not so it's going to have so it's
So
not
every time that you pause, see who wins. How does it change? 4.5 and I'm 0.5. What's the question of first thing?
It's going to be just 1%.
so
If the totals are same.
if the total is 100, so it will go to the bar. If the total
Okay,
so
if it goes to the ball fight, then what happens?
so we did not think of the ball. We just thought of that.
But you have ball fight has to do something for ball fight.
They are fighting player and this sum is same. So we're going to bring those cards will go back and we'll shuffle the cards again. So it will kind of draw for that round. The cards will go back and the cards will be shuffled again. So then again,
You know that thousands of games that game works and run out there and picking. You don't have to invent things.
but it's kind of
What do you mean by three? What kind of?
we actually
No,
the
no,
same
no,
house.
No, you can do the same game. Once the game is up, you're not getting the game. Because you can make a lot of code with something as simple as that. You have to do another game. And we want to always get a 5, can I draw 3? No, this doesn't matter. You won't find somebody. Find even me and I'll find somebody. They will be people who need to.
So ma'am, we will give you with the art and the game.
And since it is so tough because you're inventing it yourself, it will take time. If names are common like card on card or black and this,
Well, explain it.
is there anybody who does not partner? Amanda is looking for a partner. Amanda is looking for a partner. Okay, you found one. Okay, that's fine. Anybody looking for a partner? Please email me with your partner name and the name of the game. Okay, just one per person. Somebody looking for a partner? Okay, I'll put a note on Blackboard, Amanda. Everybody who needs a partner will email me and I'll just do myself. No individual. The people is also admitted and I don't want it. Everybody finds a partner. At the end of the day, there's nobody that you can do. But I put up a note.
Probably what it's gonna be. So
No, there are people around who will say, oh, I don't have a partner.
we'll leave a week.
You will have very much game like that. We are giving them a 3 card. User is selecting one. And
Who is giving you?
we are randomly giving 3 cards to the user.
Okay.
Yeah. And the player is selecting one card out of that.
How? By looking at it or
No. By choosing it, he will type that I want these card of these. Out of 3, I am selecting these cards. And then computer will choose a random card. And if that both sum is 13, then no, actually it is a pyramid game, but it's a long game, so I made it short.
Who was doing pyramid? I heard the name pyramid, the game pyramid. Somebody mentioned. Somebody. Not even, I can just say pyramid. See if you can get something. You don't make it small, make it better. What is saying? Did she have like? No, no, she won't be alone. Don't worry. Get something. I'll see to it. I'm going to put a note on that one because people are absent today. People were absent yesterday, so they don't even know. So I put a note by tomorrow saying this assignment is come up. Everybody wants to get theirs. If you don't find somebody, email me by Monday. And if nobody emails, then you can work on it.
It's not till Friday midnight.
Or maximum Sunday. I'll give you more days rather than less days. But definitely not before Friday. Friday midnight is what I'm thinking right now. But it depends on whether I can put up the assignment by tomorrow, which I think I can.
I'm just worried if I end up alone because I actually have 2 more assignments due the same day.
Friday?
One's Thursday. No, yeah, Jared's got Thursday, and the other one is this Sunday. So I just got
This Sunday.
2 big assignments in there right now. So I'm hoping if I'm by myself, I can go to Sunday. But if I get somebody, Thursday should be okay.
I put up a note tomorrow.
Listen, here's an
Okay,
idea.
and then if I hear from somebody, I'm going to email you and make space. Okay?
Thank you.
You have to email me with the group members and the name of the group and the description if you are inventing your own group.
You know,